4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, snap. And we are live here from our underground bunker with Michael, son of Joseph Coney Asiffo.
Wait, why?
Jeremy, Bone Crusher Asiffo. I call him that because his voice sounds exactly like the late rapper Bone Crusher. And being held hostage in some undisclosed location, we have David.
Bomb shelter.
I am Stefano, Dog of War Hosko, hopped up on caffeine.
Wait, hold on a second. How do you say your last name?
Hosko.
Okay, so all this time I've been saying it wrong and you haven't said a word.
You know what, man? I like you too much to make you feel bad. But it's like,
I've been saying it wrong for like a solid 3 years.
it was like nails on a chalkboard to my ears. But there gets a point where it's too late in our friendship for me to correct you. We crossed that Rubicon a long time ago, my friend.
But Stefano, I've been saying it wrong for it's not just been like 2 months. It's been like a long
I know.
ass time.
And every time it gave me a cute chuckle. I liked it too much to let it stop as well.
All right. Oh, by the way, Stefano brought balls for everybody.
Chocolate, salty, protein balls.
Yeah, they're
The best kind you can get.
peanut butter, chocolate, some oats. So yeah, this episode's sponsored by Stefano's balls.
Stefano's balls. Come get some.
Did I mention we're a Christian podcast, ladies and gentlemen?
Jesus, please forgive us.
No, it's balls. They're right there.
Listen.
I don't see the problem.
As JPEG Mafia once said, Jesus forgive me, I am a thought.
David, how you doing today, man?
I'm well, doing well.
Cool.
Yeah, recovering. Had a long night of fights last night at the Art of War in Ottawa.
Man, he got to witness the killer, Jordan Graham, the Phenom, as his nickname is.
Wait, is his nickname really the Phenom?
Yeah, it's Jordan the Phenom Graham.
Oh snap!
Oh, so it was an event that you went to?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I can talk about it a little bit. It was interesting. So, yeah, my gym, under the alias of Cat City Fight Promotions, set up this event. And, it had like a bunch of C, B, and A and open class fighters. And it was a Muay Thai event, obviously.
Yeah,
And
I was just going to. This is Muay Thai, right? Just to
Sorry,
clarify.
what?
This is Muay Thai, just to clarify, right?
Just Muay Thai. Muay Thai. In the main event, you had George Graham out of Loyalist MMA, which apparently Belleville has tons of super high level fighters. I'm sure you guys know better than I do.
As a person who's been there, I've been there one time when Jordan was actually training, and I can vouch for the quality of Muay Thai strikers there. They've got some killers there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, they showed out all night. Jordan won first round knockout, the first round knockout I've ever seen live in person. And yeah, it was like a knee to the body too. The guy, if you can imagine, the guy goes in for a jab, pretty much as he would teach a basic fundamentals class. As the person goes in for the jab, you just go in for the knee and timed it beautifully. And the guy just crumpled. So, yeah, good job for him.
Oh, wow. So it was a teep? He countered the jab with a teep, and that led to the finish.
No, it was more of a knee.
Oh, a knee. Did he pass the jab to the side and counter?
Yeah, I think so. I think he just landed the knee somehow. What I remember was the guy threw a shot. It was the left, and he just followed. He kind of went into him with his knee, and it was a wrap. The guy just crumbled, and that was it.
Classic counter, man. When you're throwing out those straight shots, especially in Muay Thai against a good knee, you really have to mind your P's and Q's about bringing those arms back in. Or if you can get timed, you're going to eat a knee to that liver or to the solar plexus.
Yeah, man, it was a wrap. And then in the co-main event, we had Zach Baldwin versus.
Was this against Bubba Picard? Because I know that fight's happening.
Is that Captain Picard's long lost brother?
Okay, never
No.
mind. I think that's another fight happening down the road. But Bubba Picard, real
Okay.
good guy.
Is that
Sorry,
his
my bad,
actual
my bad,
name?
David. Go ahead, go ahead.
Is that
No,
his
it's
actual
okay,
name?
it's okay. You had another guy from Belleville, another absolute killer, versus this dude from Jacksonville, Florida. And yeah, just beautiful exercise, beautiful exhibition of Muay Thai, I would say. Really fun, really fun. For all those who've never been to any kind of event, I would say, like, once you see it in person, it really changes your perspective of, like, what it takes to compete. So, yeah, had a good time.
Yeah, I'd advise anybody who's listening to this out there who hasn't been to a live MMA or Muay Thai event, get out there and support the sport if you enjoy it. Even on a local level, and like David said, it will change your perspective. It becomes that much more real. When you see it on TV, it's one thing, but when you hear the slap of the kicks landing, and it becomes brutal.
And that god awful Muay Thai music. Man,
Oh my God!
Absolutely. You know what's funny is, like, I can't even remember what the song sounds like, even though they played like the same, like, 8 bars all night.
Do you know what
crazy.
do you know what it sounds like? It sounds like brain damage. It's just
Sure.
like tradition's great. Some traditions are meant to die. Like, oh man.
Take it easy.
dude, it's I don't even like it. I literally I fight to it, and it's like the worst. It's like
It's like somebody shoved a small insect in your ear. It's just buzzing for the entirety of the fight. Like, thousands of years ago, these ancient pioneers of Muay Thai were like, what would really complement the violence of our art and the beauty of the... You know what? Let's get the most obnoxious musical instruments ever played. Let's get the primitive form of a kazoo and just, like, play that throughout our...
Oh my! It's like, Jeremy, I have to tell you, it's like the worst.
I've heard it. I just didn't know that it was like a traditional thing.
Yeah, it's a traditional
I
thing.
just
And
thought
they-
it was like something that I don't know.
Do you know what's another annoying thing about Muay Thai? You know the whole Ram Muay, the dance?
oh yeah, you gotta do the
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have to do that, though?
Yes.
Not
That's
the
my
not the
question.
dance, not anymore. Now you just have to seal. But like before, you had to do the dance.
I might catch some flack for this because, like, I know it's a part of the tradition and you're, like, honoring your gym and the dance is a story. It's like, from someone who comes from a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts background. When I go to a Muay Thai event and I start watching, it's like, okay, the walk-in happens. I'm ready to see some fights. And then I've got to watch some ceremonial dance.
All
for
of a
like
sudden, you
20
see this.
minutes.
You see this. And for the Facebook crowd, here's what I'm gonna do: the traditional Muay Thai dance, kinda.
Literally.
David, do you know what dance he's doing right now?
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do. And
I don't know. I
that's
think
why
you
I'm
guys
asking-
are. I think you guys are being. Sorry to cut you off, David. I think you guys are being like westernized, like sports fans, because it's just the same thing as like bowing in a jiu-jitsu or martial arts like match. Like
You know what?
there's
You're right.
There's
You're
all
right.
kinds of traditions that you have to do for different sporting events. Like I'm pretty sure there's like.
I'd be all for it if it didn't take like 80 years to do, or it wasn't annoying. Like
Yeah.
you have to keep in mind, I'm in the middle of a fight. I'm trying to think things through. I'm trying to hear my coach, and all of a sudden I can hear.
Jeremy, it'd be equivalent to... It'd be,
Protest during it. Take a knee.
it'd be,
Yeah, see how that goes. Yeah.
who is he, Brett Favre? Like...
That would be hilarious.
Yeah,
Jeremy, it's equivalent to bowing. If bowing lasted 20 minutes before every single fight, and I just held the pose, like...
You guys are definitely taking it too far. It's more like 5 minutes. The problem, or 3 minutes, maybe.
Bro, that's a
The problem
round.
is-
That's a round. That's a full round.
Yeah, for
You could
sure.
have given me a 4-round fight, but no, I gotta listen to...
I didn't mind it.
Man, yeah, it's fine. But like, you know what? Zach Baldwin, though, for the record, I just want to say it. Like, I'm so looking forward because I think they're fighting in Oshawa. Actually, I looked at the phone. He's fighting Bubba Bacard, and I'm so looking forward to that fight. I think
can
it's
scrap.
yeah, he can scrap.
Talk about the two... I've never heard of either of these men, so talk about the two competitors for us and why you're looking forward to it.
So Zach Baldwin of Infinite Martial Arts fame in Belleville. He's recently, I think he's either like a top trainer or the owner of Infinite Martial Arts now. He, for a while, I think he was loyalist, but don't quote me on that. For a while was like, if Jordan Graham was like 1A, he was 1B, and he was killing everybody. So yeah, he's legit. He doesn't, and a lot of those guys, like, they can do the clinch well, but a lot of them are based on movement. They like to move. They like to pepper you with shots. Very good at like unorthodox strikes, like elbows from the outside and flying knees and stuff like that. And they practice it. So, that's Zach Baldwin and Bubba Bacard. I've had the displeasure of sparring him. He's a guy who's very, when you hear pressure fighter, you think of, like, I think the mind instantly goes to, brawler who's in your face. No, that's not him at all. Like, he's a pressure fighter. At least when I sparred him, that's the way he approached me, who just keeps on coming, but he does it with intelligent head movement and intelligent breaking you down. Like, he'll go low, he goes high, goes to the body, he'll go to the body head. He likes to change levels really well. He's hard to hit in the pocket. So it's going to be a very interesting match that I'm looking forward to if it holds up. Because it got announced very early for when it's going to happen. I think it's May 29th.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking forward to that fight. That's going to be a good one.
That's interesting. And, contrary to popular belief, pressure doesn't always mean putting yourself in danger, like you said.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
I just want to bring something attention to the attention of our listeners. Do you know Michael's dedication to this show? He is currently cutting weight and fighting in a week, and here he is hosting the show. So if you haven't subscribed yet on our YouTube channel, our podcast page, our Facebook, then you, sir, are a plebeian. Michael is giving his blood and guts to this podcast. He is preparing for war, and do you know what he said? The good people of the leg kick need their entertaining content.
Yes. I was actually planning on doing it the day after the fight too, so I don't know. Like, we're going.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that, listeners? Do you hear that, internet? Do you hear this man's dedication?
Man.
Emulate this in every facet of your life if you want to be successful. If not, emulate me.
You're warming the cockles of my heart.
The what of your heart?
The cockles of my heart.
Oh, Mike, this is a religious podcast.
Oh wait, yeah. We were talking off air about like a certain matchup that like I'm looking forward to, which is literally the match before me, which is kind of upsetting.
Oh, so can I gush for a moment about my students?
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of this matchup, so I actually have 3 students fighting on this upcoming card. War of Gods 2. It's a local MMA promotion. It's hosted by my own jiu-jitsu instructor, my professor, who I'm promoted underneath, Jesse Richardson. If you happen to be free next Saturday night, you want to see some high-level MMA, high-level Ontario MMA.
Except for my match, that's going to dissolve into a brawl.
It's going to be a low-level. There's going to be crying.
Yeah. I think there'll be a standing 8 count in the MMA match. I don't think that's supposed to happen, but whatever.
How will both sides tap?
So, if you like I said, if you happen to be in the area, you're free, you might as well come see some. You'd be surprised at how high level, regional pro and amateur MMA in Ontario is. You have people that have been training for 10 years, 10 years of their life, a decade, and they're 0-0, making their debut. Wow. So you're going to see, now I have 3 of my own students who I'd like to just gloat about for a second on this podcast. First of which, Karin Dillon.
These guys better not suck.
Man, I will personally vouch for Karin Dillon.
I'm going to the event, so they better not suck. So go ahead and vouch for them.
If they will suck, I will take a bath with a toaster. You have heard it here. The toaster will not be plugged in, but I will take a bath with it and ruin a perfectly good toaster.
Listen, I will vouch for Karin Dillon. Like, I am
Well, let the coach talk about.
okay.
It.
Go
Let him
ahead. Go ahead.
Tell us about their strengths. Tell us
So,
about their
Karin,
strengths.
I can't go too into depth about what we're cooking in the kitchen for this
Okay.
game plan. I can tell you a little bit. All I can tell you, Karin, his record doesn't reflect his skill set. He's 0-1. He had his first fight training for under a year. He is one of the hardest working people that I have come into contact with. I have to stop him from training twice a day, every day of the week. His dedication to his craft is remarkable, and I've seen him progress so much. He walked onto the mats at 350 pounds. Today, he's fighting next week at 225 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, expect him to be all over his opponents like white on rice. He's going to put a pace on this guy.
Okay.
I can't go too much into detail as far as what we're cooking in the kitchen here, but expect it to be utter mayhem. He's tough. He's durable. He doesn't quit. My other two students on the card, we've got Roma Lubinski.
Who's also crazy.
I call him the Siberian Express. He is Russian Israeli. He is insane. I have kicked him in the head only for him to just stare at me with a dead, blank, expressionless face and continue
Why'd you
marching
kick him in
forward
the
at
head?
me.
I didn't kick him in the head.
I kicked him in
He
the head.
did. He did.
Look, man, it's tough
He's
love.
part of training.
It's part of sparring. We
Okay,
were
how-
sparring.
okay,
I
wow.
didn't walk up to him at work and be like, "Hey, Roma."
Okay.
No, one of the most durable human beings I've met. Seemingly, punishment doesn't faze him.
And the
Strikes
thing
don't.
is that I want to just say this real quickly. It's not like he's just like, oh, I take a lot of hits. Like, no, he can fight. Like
can
he's
fight.
gotten a mind on him that
Expect a weird style. Expect a lot of kick to the body. Expect forward movement. Expect him to fold into the clinch and just dominate from there. But expect weirdness and chaos whenever he fights. And finally, Freddie Carroll, my third student fighting on the card, new, inexperienced. I'm gonna let him be a little bit of a surprise to you guys, though. We call him Meathead Fred for a reason. So he's all three of them are gonna bring it. I have no doubt. I'm proud of their development, and there's a little preview for you guys of War of Gods 2, and my co-host here, Michael Asiffo, as well, bringing it home.
oh, I have no like clue of how I'm gonna fight this guy. To be honest, like I just fight. To be honest, like I don't.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
This
like
guy.
like
You're really?
Don't go into loosey goosey. Go ahead, David.
fine.
No, Mike is definitely that dude who's just like, you know what, I don't, like, have you seen that Serge Ibaka meme? Like, you know what, I don't dress, I do art.
I don't dress. I do.
Oh, gee, I've been in the scarf game for 10 years.
Yeah, it's 10 years.
Nah, like honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, yo, I know my opponent's a dog. Like, I know.
Well,
like,
what are you gonna go? Well, what are you gonna try to take advantage of first, or what are you gonna? How do you even feel out your opponent like in MMA?
Well, honestly, I just kind of okay. So I guess like my last couple of fights, what I do is I just kind of figure out a rhythm, right? Like a rhythm, and then after I disrupt the rhythm. So that's how I'll approach him. We want to do it in a different way, though. Definitely, I can't go too in depth of how we want to do it, but we want to approach it in such a way that is atypical from, I guess, what you would see from my previous footage. Usually people see the footage and they see head movement, they see a karate style stance, and they see a left hand. We want to. We're working on some things to make it different, but we're disrupting. The idea is still the same. We're disrupting the rhythm that he likes to operate with.
So basically, you can't tell the good people how the cake's made before you serve it to them.
Exactly.
But it's going to be a masterpiece next Saturday.
Yeah, no. And here's the thing. I want to say this. He is a dog. 7-0 in kickboxing. Actually current kickboxing champion at Prospect. 1-0 in MMA. Beat a very talented officer wrestler. So he's a dog, right? We gotta see how much of a dog he is. That's one of the things that we want to see.
I'm going to have to put this dog down.
Yeah, like we want to see how much of a dog he is. That's the point. I think that I definitely want to see how much of a dog he is. We didn't take this fight
take
if
the dog to the dog pound.
yeah, like we didn't want. Look, I say this like, you know, me and Corey had a meeting one night, and we sat down. You know, we talked, and he was like, "There's no more easy fights for you. We don't do easy fights. We're not padding the record no more."
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Don't you want to fight some out of shape,
some bum.
overmatched?
Of course, no.
How else are we supposed to build highlight reels, Mike?
Look, and that's the whole thing is that like if you want to build up your Tapology page, you know, you want a 5-0 in amateur MMA against some bums, fine, go ahead. That's for you. But if you want to better yourself as a martial artist and as a human being for that record, then you look for the challenges within reason, of course. Like I'm not going to be like here and be like, Elias Theodorou, I want you next. Of course not. That's not my point. But my point is that you look for the challenges in life that they may be, and you approach them with a ferocity and a anger and a willingness to get that challenge done, right?
Mike, I feel personally attacked by that speech.
Oh, sorry. Why?
Are you? No,
What, bro?
because he's like, no, I'm just joking. Because he's like, listen, if you want to be 4-1 amateur.
Oh yeah.
No.
If you want to be 4-1 in amateur and fight some bums, then be Stefano. Go ahead. No, I'm kidding.
Stefano the Can Crusher Hosko. That's what they call me.
No, but yeah, no, I definitely think like we wanna get this guy on his instincts. Like that's what we want. I should just say his name, Gordon Cunningham. We want him to be, we want him, basically fighting for survival. Like that's what we want, and we want to see how good he is at like when he has to not necessarily rely on the technique, but rely on his instincts. That's what we want, and there's a way that we can do it that we're very confident in doing it with.
Having trained with Mike, I can tell you haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do.
This man has no idea what he's getting himself into.
Yeah.
He's gonna get dragged into some deep waters here.
So yeah, that's the plan. Okay, we've gone 22 minutes in, and
How about that for an intro?
So, guys, I wanted to.
How much time is this he's spending on the intro?
oh, I love that song by the way.
Yeah.
Tuscan Leather.
Yeah.
How much time this? Oh wait, this is a Christian podcast. How many times
Were
this?
were you about to drop an expletive?
Yes, I was.
Specifically a racial expletive?
Yes, I was.
Mike, you know better than that.
I do.
Go with Jesus, my son. So, what? Yes, Jesus. What I was going to say before we talk about the UFC, which was this past yesterday, which was phenomenal. I wanted to get everyone's opinion. Did you see the Pat Downey versus Gordon Ryan spectacle that happened?
I wanted to, but I had to take the lady to her birthday dinner. So,
Oh, you gentlemen.
yeah, it didn't happen. But I wanted to.
So should I walk you
no.
guys through it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Pat Downey and Gordon Ryan, both arguably the best in their respective fields of grappling. Pat Downey being a freestyle wrestler, he's probably going to take the Olympics by storm for the United States coming up in his weight class. Gordon Ryan, regardless of what you think of his antics, I love them. He talks a lot of crap, calls out a lot of. He's making jiu-jitsu interesting, basically. He's the best right now in jiu-jitsu, unquestionably.
Not Bushesha?
Well, that remains to be determined, but I think Gordon Ryan should defeat him. Would defeat him. He hasn't faced Buchecha, right?
I don't think so.
No,
not to my knowledge, though.
I think Gordon. Yeah, I think he's the best,
Okay.
maybe of all time, and I don't think it's even questionable. He had a modified rules grappling match with Pat Downey over the weekend. Now, what they agreed to was they'd have one match in ADC rules. That's Abu Dhabi Combat Challenge rules, which is
Essentially a submission grappling.
grappling match without the gi. And then the second match they would do would be a freestyle wrestling match, which favored Pat Downey more obviously. Now, how this played out, right before the match happened, Gordon Ryan released something on his Instagram, and he said, I could sit to my back and play guard and submit this man easily. Pat Downey can't see this right now. He released it right before the match, but I'm out to prove that I'm the best scramble wrestler, like not freestyle wrestler, but the best wrestler for a grappling rule set, and I'm going to take Pat Downey down. So what ended up happening is he ended up submitting Pat Downey, obviously, by a weird, like, he got on top of his back, and as Pat Downey was falling to the ground, his leg extended and he tapped for fear of hurting his leg.
Yeah, because he's got the Olympics in like literally 4 months.
But it took 20 minutes because, trying to take down this. But he took down Pat Downey twice. So
Wow.
I found that interesting. Now, in the next match, the freestyle wrestling match, which Gordon argued was going to be competitive, Pat Downey tech-falled him in 20 seconds. Now, if you know what don't know what a tech fall is, when it's like a mercy rule in baseball. In wrestling, if you get like, I think it's 11 points, they call the match right there. Yeah. So,
Oh man, that's the gentleman's way of just saying, "Hey man, you're not in my level." Like,
yeah.
So is freestyle wrestling, because the way you described it, it's like Abu Dhabi and freestyle wrestling kind of sound the same, but
No.
is freestyle wrestling like kind of what you see in college?
Yes. So
And-
freestyle wrestling is what you see in college.
No submissions. The point is to take someone down or pin them, essentially, right?
Oh, okay.
And he didn't get pinned, but he got suplexed a couple times, and then a couple of rolls, like from the back position, over the top. Like, there's no submissions. Whereas ADCC rules, it's everything. Like, I can ankle lock you, I can choke you, you know what I mean? It's like jiu-jitsu, but no gi starting from the feet. They call it submission grappling, so yeah.
Okay. And Pat Downey lost in the freestyle wrestling?
No,
No,
Pat Downey.
Pat Downey's the freestyle wrestler. He's the Olympic wrestler.
Yeah.
He tech-falled the other guy in like 20 seconds.
So Pat Downey lost the ADCC rules, the submission grappling rules,
Okay.
right, in like 20 minutes, and then they had the second round, which was the wrestling, and Pat Downey showed him the truth.
Now, credit to Gordon Ryan, I'd say, and a lot of people don't like him, so they're not willing to give him this credit because, he's obnoxious and he spends his days like talking crap to his haters on Instagram. Or
You know
on his
what?
posts.
I followed him for all of like a month, and I couldn't do it. And
Oh,
not
he's so-
because I don't respect him; it's just because it was kind of annoying.
It's so negative, man. It's like I hate how there's like a tendency amongst famous people, especially athletes, to only respond to their critics instead of responding to the people throwing positivity their way. You know what I mean? It's like people are like, "Oh, I have so many haters." Like, well, yeah, you're only focusing on them. The person who's like, "Hey, I'm a big fan of your work," and you just ignore them. It's like, but essentially, I'll give him this credit. He said that he was going to take down Pat Downey, and he did. And ended up submitting him. And he could have just sat to his back and pulled guard
Yeah.
and submitted him more quickly. But he subjected himself to the scrutiny and the ire of people and said, I'm going to take this man down, essentially. Take this, and to his credit, he did.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like no one's questioning the skills. No one's questioning skills. It was just really funny how he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna show everybody I can wrestle," and then you get destroyed.
Oh, yeah. And he said, it's going to be competitive. Sorry, man.
Man, it really goes to show you how, like, how people will be like, "Oh yeah, a Muay Thai fighter can go into boxing," and like once in a blue moon it's true. And then they get shown the truth. It's like that with wrestling and submission grappling. Like, there's differences, okay? And people don't realize just like how much of a difference. Like, they realize it with striking, I think, because it's easier to see, but they don't realize it with grappling. Like what a change of rule set can do to somebody's grappling. Like,
Take gi and no gi, for instance, right? I train primarily in no gi, right? I think I can submit. I think my bold statements. I think my jiu-jitsu is the best in the city in no gi. Quite honestly.
wow.
I think if I put a gi on, though, I will get submitted by some scrubs.
oh,
So it's like it makes a difference. This technique you're operating under, the rule set you're operating under, you're trying to game a particular set of rules. You're training with a specific set of rules and techniques. It makes a huge difference. It's like a baseball player crossing over into cricket. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like there's no doubt the baseball or a tennis player playing in badminton. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't know it was that dramatic of a difference. Like,
oh my gosh, like it's.
Night and day.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like, and even the objectives of what you're trying to do make life different too. But before delving deep on this, let's talk UFC Norfolk because I have a lot of things I want to get on my chest about this card.
bet.
Where do we start?
Felicia Spencer won. That's nice.
Shout out Felicia Spencer.
Yeah,
man.
Megan Anderson called out Amanda Nunes. Yeah, not going to work.
So should we?
Shout out Megan Anderson.
Let's talk about Felicia Spencer first, our Canadian homegirl, and how weak the 145-pound division is.
Wow, way to start positive.
Listen, man, all credit to her. She's clearly a legitimate black belt.
For sure. And you know what's crazy? Also, just to jump in here, we clearly knew she was a legitimate contender when she got her behind beat by Chris Cyborg.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew she was a legitimate contender when we looked down the list of the women's 145-pound division, and we saw it stops at 5. Oh, who are the top 10 ranked women's 155-pounders? Oh, number 9, unknown. Number 8, not disclosed.
Take it easy. Man, you're putting some crosshairs on your head, man. I'm telling you, you're gonna get one of these ladies at your gym.
See, I need someone like me, like who's gonna say it like that.
Now, hold on. What have I said that's untrue?
It's a good point.
But I mean, you got 2 or 3 interesting matchups coming. I'd like to see Felicia Spencer against Amanda Nunes. She seems durable, and Amanda Nunes seems to gas late.
Yeah.
Maybe someone with big grappling advantage over is somebody who's going to be able to nullify her in those later rounds, providing she can survive that early blitz. What do you guys think?
Oh, by the way, I pressed the button so that way I can not press the button. David, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hey, it worked.
Don't press the button; the nukes are going to go off.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'll say this. We saw with Jermaine the Randome that when it was on the feet, Amanda Nunes was, for lack of a better term, I guess, getting pieced up in small sections, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, no one's really challenged her on the ground. But I think if you're a more technical, I think the book is always that if you're a more technical striker and you have cardio and you have some semblance of a grappling game, because the other thing I noticed was Amanda Nunes' grappling is worse than I thought. Correct?
Especially it's not as much of a threat in the later rounds as it is in the earlier rounds.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think sorry, you're about to make a point. Go ahead.
No, because I think we were on the same thing of there's an over reliance on her athletic skill set, and not necessarily the technique.
I think she's a very good all rounder, is what I would say.
Yeah.
In a division of women who are frankly not that well rounded, I think she's a very good all rounder where she can take the better strikers like Jermaine Durandamine to the mat. I think she has
and
power.
the better grapplers can get pieced up.
Exactly.
So I think the tool is you need to be a technical striker, a good enough grappler, and good cardio.
Or a grappler that can withstand that early onslaught and pressure. So you just need to be able to nullify her other skill set and play to just to need to. Like it's such an easy task to defeat the best female fighter in the world, right? We're so flippant about it. But maybe that's going to be the mold to defeat her, is going to be somebody that's a specialist who can nullify her in those other areas.
But you know who I think can do it if she figures it out a little bit? I think Tatiana Suarez.
Wrong weight class.
Sorry, not Tatiana.
You're thinking
tall.
Megan Anderson?
No.
How did you even confuse those two?
Geez.
Oh, you're thinking of
Guys, you gotta help me out.
She looks like Tatiana Suarez.
She does look like Tatiana Suarez. That's why.
You're talking about Raquel Pennington.
No, stop. Okay, never mind. There's a female in the 135 division.
No, I know what you're talking about.
She's a great wrestler.
Yeah. She fought
Great wrestler.
She fought Kat Zingano.
What?
No.
Yeah, she did fight Kat Zingano.
No, I'm not that. He said Aspen Ladd. It's not Aspen Ladd.
She fought Kat Zingano.
She fought Kat Zingano. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. But the point
can I go through the first 10? It's in the top 10 right now.
Okay.
Okay, all right. You got Nunes, you got Jermaine, you got Aspen Ladd, number 3, 4, Aldana, 5, Ketlin Vieira, 6,
Vieira.
Oh, that's who you're talking about? That's not who I was talking
Yeah,
about.
Okay, who are you talking
No, Vieira's not ready.
All right. No, I
number
didn't say she
60,
was ready. I just
Juliana
said she
Pena.
has the skills.
Let me pull this up because
Well, he's pulling.
Number
He's
7,
got the.
Holly Holm. Number 8, Pennington. Number 9, somebody called Renault. I've never heard of her.
no, not Marianne Renault. See, that's the
No,
thing.
no.
Well,
And then
Renault
you
has
got
the skill
Diana
set too. She's got
Kunitskaya,
great
who's been
Brazilian
there
jiu-jitsu background. So
I don't know, man. I
there's some people who have skill sets that if they can just figure it out on the.
Juliana Pena.
Thank you. That's actually the one.
Juliana Pena. Yeah.
Thank you. Juliana Pena.
With her grapple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Maybe.
It wasn't
I
Vieira,
don't know.
sorry. Juliana Pena. I think that
Oh,
if
wow.
she can figure out the striking, she has the cardio and the grappling to give Amanda Nunes an issue. That's all I'm saying. Right?
Is striking more of an advantage in women's mixed martial arts than in men's?
Well,
Good. Interesting question.
No. I think it pretty much evens out. Because in both sports, you have strikers and grapplers. What I would say, though, is that you have, I feel like they're less, super advanced strikers.
well,
In what, the men's?
UFC.
no, in
women.
the women's, because in the women's you only really got three. You got Joanna, you got Rose, and you got Valentina.
Well, here's what I'd say.
I think that's harsh.
I-
You got, wasn't it Vivian Araujo? Come on.
Oh yeah,
Irene
yeah,
Aldana
and
is a
then
boxer.
yeah,
Is it-
Michelle
so would it-
Rodriguez.
so is it because-
GDR,
I
Jermaine Durant.
Is it more of a? Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, David.
No, because Jermaine Renemy,
Oh, yeah,
Joanne
she's-
Calderwood, you got some. strikers.
Calderwood needs to. Calderwood's not there.
Calderwood is in a striking context is a lot better than in mixed martial arts when she's free to in her Muay Thai career. Excellent knees, man. I think she had a nickname that reflected that, but she did very, very good work with knees back in her Muay Thai career. I think she hasn't been able to let her strikes go, just based on the threat of being taken down. But I mean, I'll say this to Jeremy's question. I think that in women's MMA, you tend to see, for whatever reason, less transfer over of high-level grapplers into women's mixed martial arts. Yeah. And I think for that reason, the top divisions of because grappling is the most dominant skill set. I think that at the top end of the women's two divisions, they tend to be saturated more with strikers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that for whatever reason, the high-level women who are involved in grappling don't want to transfer over to mixed martial arts for whatever reason, with the exception of your Ronda Rouseys and your.
Well, Ronda Rousey did of course, Ronda Rousey did probably as good as any grappler has ever done in MMA.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the thing. That's actually why I asked the question, was because Holly Holmes was able to touch her up and.
Well, the thing about Holly Holm is that she's physically strong, so it's
so
not
is Ronda Rousey.
Excellent,
but
excellent
not,
footwork.
and excellent footwork. So it's
Open on
not
a clinic of
necessarily like I know when Misha Tate the guard to the ground, it was hilarious. She was a white belt down there, but to get her to the ground is not it's damn near Edson Barbosa level impossible. Where
she's sure. Yeah, sorry, go on, Mike.
no, I was just gonna say where Holly Holm's anti-wrestling is as good as any female in that division.
Yeah, so you can defend takedowns based on being very physical and sprawling on your opponents, looking for a front headlock, and really engaging and grappling with them, or you can do it through footwork. Stay on the back foot and just stay away from them when they're trying to take those shots at you.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Stefano. I think it's a little unfair to say there aren't. I will agree that there are definitely more strikers in the top end of the women's divisions, but there's definitely a lot of high-level grapplers in the women's divisions too. Jennifer Maya. I'm literally just scrolling right now. Juliana Pena, which we already talked about. We got what's her name? Scrambling around now. But,
Macy Barber. I know
Macy
Roxanne
Barber.
gave her the work, but she's
She's a boxer though.
Tatiana Suarez, Aspen Ladd.
Aspen Ladd's a good wrestler.
Yeah, you're right. You got a point, David. It just seems like the top 3 to top 5 of the women's divisions tend to be saturated with strikers for whatever reason.
Fair.
Yeah, strawweight, you got Joanna, Whaley, Rose, right?
Yeah,
Jessica Andrade.
And I guess. But Jessica Andrade, when she got to MMA, when she's been in MMA, what's she known for? Power punches, right? So it's
I feel like physical attributes tend to In the men's
Try to
divisions,
throw it better.
yeah, in women's divisions, physical attributes tend to stand out a lot more, like punching power,
Yeah.
athleticism. In the men's division, they tend to be equalized a little bit more. Like when somebody stands out athletically in the men's division, it's because of freak attributes, generally, right?
yeah.
The top, as far as athleticism, let's look at 155 as a case example. All things considered, relatively, they're around the same. The top 10 is relatively around the same level of athleticism. Would you guys not agree?
Wrongly disagree.
Sorry, with division.
Wrongly disagree.
With
oh wait,
division.
how are we?
Okay,
yeah,
let's-
No, wait, 155. But how are we qualifying athleticism?
Oh man, okay, let's.
I mean, to be
Do you
honest,
want to get into this?
I mean, to
Yeah,
be
no,
honest,
but
like
are we
I
talking,
think,
like explosiveness or like
No, because not
like just like
explosiveness, but
just traits, certain traits, like
yeah, there's different kinds of athleticism, right? So I guess I'm getting us into a bit of
What kind- yeah.
unquantifiable territory because it's like Khabib might not be the most explosive athlete in the world.
How I understand athleticism is strength, agility, and explosiveness. That's how I understand athleticism.
flexibility also.
And flexibility.
Yeah.
Ferguson, for
Yeah.
example.
So I guess like who's the best pure athlete in the lightweight in 155? Edson Barbosa.
Kevin
Would
Lee.
that?
And the speed.
Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee. Okay, that's a good name. Okay, Kevin Lee. Let's put down like some names. Do we think Kevin Lee can beat Khabib Nurmagomedov right now?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
I don't think. I think if they go 10 times, he beats him twice.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe 4.
I think
4 is a stretch to me, but sure, fine. 4 is okay. Fine, I'll accept 4. But
I would put him in the top echelon of people in 155 that could beat Khabib. I think he has a better chance to do it than most of the top 10.
I will say, if Faraz is in his corner, I don't mind his chances because that fight against Gillespie showed me something.
Yeah.
I just think that like skill for skill, given Kevin Lee's freakish athleticism, I don't think he beats Khabib. We've already seen the story with Tony. I don't think he beats Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, but the man had a staph infection and still managed to mount Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, that's
How
it,
did he
kind of
beat
impressive.
Al Iaquinta?
Oh yeah, Al Quinto for some reason has his number.
Sure, yeah, let's
For
not
some
play
reason.
MMA math though, because sometimes somebody
You're right.
just has your numbers. Sometimes there's something
Yeah.
technically in their style that doesn't match up well with yours.
Yeah.
For example,
or even like mentally on the night, like you come in, you think
Yeah.
like you got this, and then just
Yeah.
mentally on the night. Yeah.
take Edson Barbosa for a second. Like he's allergic to pressure. He's very bad against pressure fighters. If you give him that space to set his feet, he'll beat some of the best in the world, right?
Dude, it's crazy to me because I'm like, and we've had this conversation. I think there should be no reason why Edson Barbosa doesn't have the lightweight championship right now.
Sure, there is. He's got gaping technical holes in his style.
No, I know, but
Yeah,
like,
he can't wrestle.
in terms of athlete, well, see, this is the crazy thing is his takedown defense is probably one of the highest in UFC history. It's like somewhere in the 85 percentile,
X for doubt.
right? Fine, sure, but like, take a look at it. It's like in the 80 something percentile. It's one of the best in the division. So
Sure, but I think that's not necessarily what makes him beatable. Is not necessarily takedown defense. It's the fact that he doesn't do well with defensive footwork when you're marching him down.
exactly, but like other than that, but like that's the thing. It's like that's one thing that screws him over.
It's a massive thing.
and it's a massive thing, right? But he's probably the second best athlete they've got in that division.
You know what? Like, and this might come off kind of like sexist, but like I feel like
Oh, boy.
in women's sports, being more athletic gives you way more of an advantage on your competition than in men's sports. Because even in football,
that's what I was
even
saying.
even in football, like if the most athletic guy sometimes is not the best player, like.
But like, Jeremy,
Dude, that's literally what I was saying. I
that's
agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that's
Like,
not a big. I don't think that's
So,
a
like-
sexist thing to say per se. I just
No,
think
I
it's
know,
like
that's
how you
what-
present it.
Dude,
Yeah.
take power for instance. Women that have reliable knockout power will, and a decent skill set will be able to.
more ahead of their competition.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
but like
but, like-
I also think that like it's also like I don't know how much of that is just like women and men, or if that's like women's MMA is generally relatively new in comparison, and
No, but
therefore
it favors the more athletic. While in sports in general, for men, like the more athletic person doesn't usually end up being more successful in that sport.
Yeah, the reason why I disagree with you on like women's versus because you're right on that point, but why I would disagree why power doesn't factor into that necessarily is that you have incredibly technical fighters in men's division that don't possess similar power but train rigorously, right? Like, look at a Dominic Cruz. If Dominic Cruz could be knocking out people reliably, he would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have that, the structure of his hips is just, or the way that he throws his punches is not
It's
such
because
that
he's
it
a
produces that.
fragile person, like not mentally, of course, but like his body is fragile.
Yeah, and he built a style around it,
Yeah,
right?
so he has to, do what he wants. I'm just saying, like, I don't necessarily. While I'm inclined to agree, I'm not necessarily willing to just like paint the brush yet, just because women's MMA, is still really, really new.
But what's that got to do with
Yeah,
power?
no, for sure.
What's that got to do with power, though?
Well, but my thing is
at
also
UFC
like.
1, you had people that had power in their hands in early primitive MMA.
But there's also a guy named Francis Ngannou who's knocking everybody out in under a minute, right? Like,
So what are you saying,
it's
like-
that's unrelated, though. Moot
You're
point.
saying as time goes on, the more technical women fighters
there's
will rise to the
what
cream
I'm
of
saying
the-
is that there's a
For sure.
chance. There is a chance that can happen.
I bet if we pulled the data for sports that have existed for a lot longer, women's boxing and kickboxing, you'd see reliably less knockouts than men's boxing and kickboxing. I don't think it's
Yeah.
a technique issue.
Okay, fair. Yeah, no, I think that's true. I just think that like, like when it comes to MMA specifically, I'm not willing to just say it like definitively right now, just because it's so new and girls are still so like one dimensional, and for a lot of them, like
Yeah.
like we had Megan Anderson call out Amanda Nunes in this fight. By the way, shout out to Megan Anderson. But she called out Amanda Nunes, and Holly Holm out wrestled her. Holly Holm is a boxer, ladies and gentlemen, right? And
Yeah.
Holly Holm out wrestled her in her UFC debut. So think about that for a second. That's how one dimensional we're talking when
on.
it comes to
Wait.
women.
Holly Holm
hold
also
on,
out wrestled
hold
Cyborg.
I think Dave was trying to say
Yeah, you're being a little harsh on Megan Anderson. because,
No,
like, Megan Anderson had she only has 15 fights. Like,
No,
come on,
but that's
you're
my
being a little
point.
harsh.
That is exactly my point. Is that
Yeah.
it's still we're talking about a relatively new
Someone that can
concept.
rise to the top of the division with those
Well-roundedness,
credentials. Yeah.
With well-roundedness, there's not been like for example, Frank Shamrock in the division yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? That, I mean, Amanda Nunes, I think, is that person in my mind, I think, but I'm not, like, you get what I'm trying to say?
A solid all-rounder can rise with decent physical attributes in the
Yeah.
women's division can rise to the top pretty easily.
Yeah, and I think it's because they're well-rounded and not necessarily because they're athletic, although the thing about Amanda Nunes that makes me kind of,
She has both.
yeah.
She's an
and-
all-rounder with decent athleticism
Yeah,
and good
and
power.
not just decent, like, she's probably the second best athlete in women's MMA, like, like
There's
pound
someone-
for pound,
There's someone named Roxanne Modafari that has something to say about that.
right?
Wait, okay, can I jump in on this one?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree with Michael. Actually, I think that it's kind of a mix of both. Yeah, I think that a lot of the top women's athletes in mixed martial arts tend to have the physical attributes that you're talking about, and I think like even in most sports, even if you watch like the WNBA, usually it's like the tallest, strongest girls. They're like the best, or women's soccer, which I'm a little bit more familiar with, or even women's rugby, which for a while I covered for some reason. It's like the big girls and like the strongest, the fastest, like those tend to be the more successful ones. That's not necessarily the case in men's sports. But then again, if you step back and you think about it, it also is, because your physical attributes do take you so far. Like, in order to become professional, you have to like stand out from so many amateur fighters, so many people in your region. You have to compete nationally, internationally a lot of the time. So
Right.
I don't want to downplay, the physical attributes of those who make it. Even men, I think like physical attributes do take you so far.
So could I?
Thing,
Sorry, go on.
no. The thing I would say though is I agree with Michael. Women's MMA is just it's still in its infancy.
Could I level
we
with you?
don't-
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought you were finished. My bad.
No, one more thing. The thing is that we just don't know. Like we haven't even gotten the women's Anderson Silva yet, or the women's John Jones yet. We're still just getting the first of our kind in the men's version. So
Yeah, like we're
women's
still at
MMA
Frank Shamrock territory.
I would argue that Amanda Nunes would be the equivalent of a women's Anderson Silva.
I think she's like Frank
And
Shamrock.
Ronda Rousey could beat Cain Velasquez, and don't argue with me on that.
I'm gonna argue with you with that one.
No, I'm just quoting. I'm just quoting Joe Rogan. I'm just quoting Joe Rogan. He said it, not me.
Ronda Rousey is the female Floyd Mayweather. That's what it is.
Oh no,
Yeah.
that's an insult to Floyd Mayweather's legacy.
Right.
But what I would say to level with you is we're talking about women's MMA if it's siloed, right? It exists off on its own, and men's MMA exists off on its own. It doesn't. Women train with men. You know.
Not all the
Yeah.
time.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah,
Come
no,
on,
it's
hold on,
pretty.
hold
the
on.
the
I'm
best
not gonna let
girls.
that fly.
No,
MMA is still a majority, it's still mostly a male-oriented sport.
but dude,
I would say
I agree with you. But I'm saying that the
outweigh, for every one female fighter, you might have 10 men fighters.
Sure, but the women are training with us. And look, I'm not. This is not a referendum on skill or anything else. But the female fighters are training at the camps with male fighters. There aren't all female camps.
But
right?
and
power is unrelated to all of this. Finishing ability might be unrelated to power in some senses as well. And I mean, I don't have the answers of why necessarily.
Yeah, I just think that while I do agree with you that it's the women are training with the men mostly.
Always.
The best women in your MMA gym, you have to believe, is training with the guys. Okay, that's not a discussion. But what I will say though, it's still so new that while they can get to a place faster because they're training with the men, I'm not willing. It's still so new that I'm not willing to say, okay, this is the brush.
Fair enough.
That I'm willing to paint yet.
We're still collecting data on the matter.
Exactly.
But
And for sure, and can I just say it's one thing, and you know this better than anybody, it's one thing to train, it's another thing to compete. So it's one thing to train with men, it's another thing to compete with women. You know what I mean?
oh, I fail to see the relevance.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. In terms of in-game experience that will allow you to make.
I mean, Angela Lee said it best on the Joe Rogan podcast, where she was training with the men, and all of a sudden she's training with the women.
Angela Hill.
Thank you. Sorry. And I'm messing up names all over today. I thought Caitlin Vieira was
Tatiana Suarez.
Is Tatiana Suarez, and then I thought Julia Pena. I'm messing up.
You thought I was a young Sean Penn earlier?
Oh yeah, of course. Maybe it's the CTE. But I think. But the point I'm trying to make is that Angela Hill said it best. She was on podcast and she goes, "Yeah, I was training with the guys, so I thought I was gonna go in there and these women were gonna hold a candle to me, and then all of a sudden these girls are tough." So and it made her for a couple of matches, it made her lose her composure a little bit. So. I'm paraphrasing. That's not exactly what she said, but the point still remains is that David does have a point in the sense that it does happen, right? Where there is a disconnect, but I guess to segue it back to Megan Anderson, right? Is that the point is that she's not at the level in terms of what's the word? Well-roundedness, where I'm seriously considering, oh yeah, she definitely has a shot beating Amanda Nunes. So even though she beats, Nora Dumont,
Who?
Exactly, Norma Dumont in a fight, it's okay, congratulations, go fight Felicia Spencer. Go fight.
You played yourself. Now you got to fight with
You
Amanda
had
Nunes.
fun. Felicia Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And what happened, ladies and gentlemen?
She lost.
Okay, so
Oh, Canada.
and Felicia Spencer had a great fight too as well. So my point is that it's silly, absolutely silly. If just by you're looking at data, you obviously have to fight the fights. But if you're just looking by data, it's absolutely silly to convince yourself in the mind that Megan Anderson has a legitimate shot against Amanda Nunes in a mixed martial arts contest.
I agree. No.
And that's sad to say.
Can we pivot for a second? Because I really want to talk about.
Would you like some water with your balls?
Please let me wash down these
Yeah. Here
salty
you go.
balls.
My goodness gracious.
There's a lot of gargling going on over here on the
Okay.
podcast.
Chill. Pause. Pause. Eject.
All right, Jeremy.
So I wanted to pivot for a second. Sorry, what were you going to say, Mike?
No, go ahead.
How one note did our boy Joseph Benavidez look? Oh my God. Dude, what happened? What happened, man? Just swinging wide hooks at every single strike that's
Who did he fight?
I almost called him Jussier Farmiga.
Oh yeah, you could have called him Juicy because he looked a little juicy after he missed weight.
Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah.
My God, Davison Figueiredo, Joseph Benavidez not able to secure takedowns, swinging wild, shifting hooks at everything. His head coming forward out of his stance. He looked the worst I've ever seen him, quite frankly. His mouth was open the entire fight.
Okay.
You get a lot of the line. You know,
Okay.
This is what he wanted for a very long time. And all the hype, all the pressure was on him, especially once Davison missed weight. Like, I can imagine, like, that can take a toll. And, you know, he's a pro, so I don't want to guess what happened, but, yeah.
Yeah, but this is nothing new to him. This is Joseph Benavidez, who's faced the best in the world. Faced Demetrius Johnson twice. Beaten Henry Cejudo.
But he was supposed to win this one, though. That's the difference. Like, it's one thing to face, like, Demetrius Johnson, who might be, like, one of the best of all time. And then Henry Cejudo, who was the only guy to beat Demetrius Johnson. But it's another thing to, like he was supposed to win this one.
Brad Pickett has something to say about that. Brad Pickett also defeated DJ. But I think maybe something ran deeper than that in this fight than pressure. Because you may be right. I think that definitely factored into it. You know, this is probably the last title shot he's going to get, for all intents and purposes. So I agree with you that pressure was definitely a factor. I feel like something else played into this because this didn't look like the normal Joseph Benavidez I've seen. And Davison Figueiredo, known as a very physically strong fighter, wild, excellent timing, great head movement, times a great counter elbow. That right hand looked like lightning. Sorry, that left hand.
It was a left.
It was a left.
Was it a left? I thought it was a right.
No, it was a right. He was standing orthodox. He switches to southpaw for brief periods.
Like the punch that put him back, like that, like kind of backed him up. What are we talking about? The punch that backed him up, or
I'm talking about his straight right.
Oh, okay. Oh, the one that put him out. Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought you were talking about just like the punch that like was.
You mean the headbutt?
Oh yeah, that too. But
no, it was an inside uppercut, man. What are you talking about?
It was so fast you couldn't see the fist.
Okay, so here's my thing. Is that when you look at, if I'm a casual, right? If I'm a filthy casual.
Shout out to Jack Slack.
Shout out to Jack Slack. And I'm taking a look at just like kind of the stats, right? So you're Joseph Benavidez, and this is your third title shot. Mm-hmm. You're 0-2, right? The only reason why there is a title shot between you and this other guy is because the guy you were supposed to face vacated his title, right? So already, from the outside looking in, this looks like win time for you, right? Mm-hmm. So now we go to the week of the fight, and you're hearing reports that Davison Figueiredo might miss weight. Again, if I'm a casual, I that's another check in the win column for you, right? We get to the weigh-in. Davison Figueiredo had one too many pizzas, one too many hamburgers.
Stop. Hold on.
You know,
before you go on, I just want to jump in here and say that report actually came out that Davison had actually gone to his doctor, and his doctor had advised him.
No, he went to his nutritionist, and his nutritionist said.
It was a doctor. Based on the symptoms, or at least that's what his agent said, that based on the symptoms he was showing, side cramps and muscle spasms and yada yada yada, that he should actually stop cutting weight.
Mike, can you pass the water?
Yeah, for sure. The protein protein balls are getting them a little bit. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's my opinion, and I'm gonna say this one more time for like the 80th time on making weight here. When you sign up to fight a weight, whatever the weight might be, and you do not make the weight because he was given ample time, it is unprofessionalism.
I agree.
Point blank, full stop, period.
Now, I'm willing to cut him a little bit of slack just because this is the first and only time he's ever missed weight.
It's his second time.
No, this is his first time.
It's his second time. I'm 90%
Figueiredo?
sure. Yeah, I'm 90% sure it's his second time. Okay, if it's his first time, fine, whatever. But
Even
I
if
still,
your doctor tells you to stop cutting weight.
dude. Here's the problem, and this is the thing. Philosophically, I'm putting this water ball right in front of the camera here, but
How dare you?
okay. Philosophically, I believe that if your doctor is telling you to stop cutting weight, then you're probably cutting too much weight for a division that you probably don't belong in.
Normally, but oh man,
Like-
I mean, hold on.
I-
Once again, the dude is like 5'5".
Okay,
What division is he gonna fight in?
yeah, I think the fact that we're asking professional athletes to dehydrate themselves before getting punched in the brain is unnecessary and archaic in and of itself, and we shouldn't be cutting weight.
yeah,
Period.
we shouldn't be cutting
We
weight.
should be
period.
finding a way around it. But given that we're in the circumstances that we're in,
Yeah.
in which we have to cut weight in order to fight a division where people are close to our size, yeah, I agree. It's
unprofessionalism, and
it's violation of contract. You
Yeah.
signed up saying that you're going to be at this weight. Now, sometimes injuries happen within training camp that prevent you from making the proper,
yeah.
Things
But
happen.
I think in that instance too is that like, look, sometimes you're gonna have to make the tough decision and pull out. Right? We talk about BTC every once in a while. James Clark pulled out of his fight, and I love the guy, and he had to make a tough decision, and he pulled out, and that's and in my opinion, I think that's the right thing to do because, guess what? Like
Well, some people aren't great at pulling out, and that's why I'm here.
oh,
No,
but Christian podcast. But I just want to explain this point because this is my position is that look, you have to when you make the agreement to cut the weight, right? And this is look, it's not like I'm some scrub who like sits around and eats pizzas. But prior to this fight I'm fighting next week, a month before it, I cut down to 178 pounds for a fight.
Jeez.
From 210 pounds. I know what it's like. I know it sucks. But I agreed to fight at 178 and I made the weight because I had to. Because that's the thing you have to do.
I agree.
So,
Now,
spare me the doctor. Spare me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No. Spare me the doctor. Spare me the excuses about the cramps. It's because, and you know what the thing is? A lot of times it's because you're not doing the right things leading up to it, and that's why you got the cramps too. I'm not going to say it's conjecture. I don't know what happened. I don't know what he was eating. I don't know what his diet was like. But a lot of times it's because you're eating the too many pizzas and oil grease and whatever, and then all of a sudden you have cramps. Well, no wonder because.
well,
You were doing the wrong things leading up to it.
let's not.
And again, it's conjecture.
Yeah,
I
let's
know.
not necessarily because we don't know exactly what caused him to miss weight. But if I could say two things, one, I think it's unfortunate that after a masterclass of a performance, by not making weight, he's taking attention off of it. Now we're talking about him missing weight when he put on a masterclass of a performance against, admittedly, a Joseph Benavidez who didn't look himself and was fighting like a caricature of him of how he normally fights.
Right, and that was going to be my point. Is that like you check off all these boxes, and it looks like Joseph Benavidez should win, and Joseph Benavidez. I don't know if it was him who looked off. I don't know if it was a game plan issue, but I was about to say Juicy and Figueroa. Davison Figueroa came in there and absolutely dismantled him. So
He did. And I mean, this is in Davison Figueiredo, this is a fighter who had gone undefeated in this division, minus one loss to the aforementioned Jussier Formiga. I believe, yeah, it was Formiga.
Yeah.
On a performance that he claims that he took on very, very short notice. Yeah, man, wow. And we should have a new flyweight champion today, but we don't, sadly. And it's really a shame because I think while he's a fighter with a lot of holes that are very clear, he has some interesting stylistic questions that he poses for the division, and I want to see how he matches up against the division's elite. I think he
for
deserves
sure.
to be champion.
The
Minus
question for me is who's next?
Juicier, why not?
you could do Formiga. I think he has a fight coming up.
Yeah, that's
Mike, can you check and see who he's fighting coming up?
Formiga.
Yeah, because I believe he has a fight coming up, and that's going to decide who Figueiredo will be fighting next. I heard some rumblings of a rematch. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't think.
No.
Come on, what? Like that was so one sided. Well, it wasn't like so one sided, but it was such a one sided fight that I just think it was so decisive. Brandon Moreno,
there we go. Interesting prospect.
March 14th, by the way.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's coming around the corner.
Same day I win next gen.
Hey. Niagara.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to see a Formiga rematch. I'd like to see Figueiredo against Cejudo, but if he eventually chooses to come back down, I don't think he will. Maybe. I don't think he'll be at 35 forever, though. It's interesting. He's big for the weight class. He seems to do well against grapplers. It seemed like Benavidez got very desperate when he couldn't get the takedowns and just began swinging those wide shifting hooks and missing by a mile and getting countered. You know? What do you guys think?
I mean, look, in terms of the next match, it's a shame because, like, you know, you're talking about a division that was nearly put out to pasture.
Yet we have women's 145. Unbelievable.
Yeah, right. You know, it's just unfortunate that there's another debacle that, you know, Dana White can point to be like, this is why this division doesn't work, theoretically. So it's tough to go like, okay, what's next, you know, in the division? Because you don't really have an established champion, right? You can, right? So it's hard to make these decisions. But I guess theoretically, I think that, like, yeah, it should be the winner of Moreno versus Formiga to face Figueroa for the championship. And I think that unless Benavidez goes on like a Vanderlei Silva mid 2000s Pride style run, he's done. No more for him. Which is sad, but you can't.
It seemed like he was on a bit of a run coming up to this fight, but yeah, I mean, he's been doing it since the WEC days. After a while, you have to ask, like, it's hard to see the decline until after it's completed, but, like, you know, when does decades of competing at high-level mixed martial arts take its toll on you to the point where you're unable to compete at that elite of the elite level anymore? And who knows if the book's been written on Joseph Benavidez and he's just simply, you know, off to the glue factory at this point.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that to be, I guess, mean. Like, it's just, you know, like the whole thing is that maybe there is something to that whole choke artist thing. Like that, you know, that title that's been on Kenny Florian and Donald Cerrone for a while. I don't know. But the whole thing is that when this guy gets a championship title, granted, two of them were against the greatest flyweight in our generation.
Yeah.
But
I'd be more willing to give him the John Fitch title of, man, if this one all-time great, or the Daniel Cormier title, where if this one all-time great weren't in your division, we'd be talking about you right now. Yeah, because I've seen Benavidez put on some phenomenal performances. A split decision against Demetrius Johnson, his defeat of Henry Cejudo, like, you know, he's put on some phenomenal masterclasses. Yeah. I think if certain fighters, certain elites didn't exist and we were living in a universe without Cejudo or Demetrius Johnson, we'd be talking about Joseph Benavidez as one of the great pioneers and, you know, of the lighter weight classes.
Well, yeah, it's just I think that's not the matchup anymore. Unfortunately,
no, the division moves on, right?
Yeah, I think it's gotta be Jussier Formiga and Davison Figueroa. I think, you know what I think would solve everything though is if Henry Cejudo just came back and was the established champion.
He's got a tough test ahead of him.
Oh, I know, against Aldo, which I don't think that's the right matchup to make at all. But whatever, they did it, and it is what it is. Anyway, David, let me pose the question to you. If you're who's the guy right now? It's not Silva. Who's matchmaker at UFC? It's not Joe Silva no more. It's another guy.
Canadian guy.
Maynard, is it?
No.
Okay. Whatever. If you're matchmaker of the UFC, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that.
Jeez.
If you're matchmaker for the UFC, who do you make? Who's the match at flyweight for you?
Oh man, if I'm matchmaker for the UFC, I'm actually going to scrap the flyweight division in general, in totality.
It's just such a talented division.
I'd just like to
How
interject and say that if you're the matchmaker of the UFC, you won't be able to scrap that division.
Okay, fair enough. If it was within my power, I would scrap it in total. If I
Why?
can,
But why?
because it's just
There's so much good,
There's just
unscouted talent that exists in the world, and the
Like,
flyweights have consistently given us great fights.
I don't know. I think maybe
Mick
for
Maynard.
135,
Mick Maynard is the UFC
Maynard.
matchmaker. by the way.
Go on, David.
For 135, yeah, I agree. Lots of sleepers, but I just don't see it in 125. For me,
Ooh,
yeah.
there's a lot.
Let me
of
go on a little
guys.
tangent for you, and some of it outside the UFC. We've got Kyoji Horiguchi, who I thought was going to be the man to beat Demetrius Johnson,
And nearly did.
and and Henry Cejudo. We've got man,
Cejudo's 135
Now,
right
now.
he is not a
He's never
natural
going back
135er.
down.
He's a 25er. Let's
We've-
be honest with each other. He's a 25er.
This
He's
is
what, 35? He's never going back down.
oh, he is.
He's
I would put money. I would put money on the fact.
He's definitely he is 25 was made for Cejudo. He's a 25.
Within the next 2 years, we're going to see him fighting back down at flyweight. I guarantee it.
yeah, he's.
Okay.
It's not a
Does
case
that
of Conor
podcast
McGregor where he was
in
killing
person?
himself.
Yeah, for sure. We're putting money down on that.
Yeah, I will bet $50 right now. I will put.
I feel pretty strongly that he's not going back down.
All right, you could take my $50. I'm confident that he's coming back. It's either
I'm gonna
he's
sit back and watch this one.
it's either he's coming back down or he will lose the title at 35 and forever foil around in that division, middling in it because he's not 35er
Yeah.
at all. At all.
But to the point of the 125 pounders, there is talent out there. I think the UFC has done a very poor job of promoting that division and its bigger stars. I feel like it's been the Demetrius Johnson show. Dana White's been relegating the other top flyweights to fighting on undercards, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into a 5-round main event title fight.
As a casual fan, I don't really want to see a flyweight, to be honest.
But my whole thing is
I'm not
that
really
there's
looking
so
for
many.
flyweights.
Why? I'd like to know. I'm not
No, because
judgmentally.
I like to see the bigger fighters go at it, or the ones with star power. I just don't know any star power flyweights.
But see, I think the problem is that for every GSP there was a Matt Hughes, a Fitch.
GSP didn't fight in the flyweight.
No, but my point is listen to the point. Listen to the point.
I'm listening.
Right? For every GSP, there was a Fitch, there was a Hughes, there was a
Japan.
there was a Penn, so on and so forth. For Habib, it was Connor, Tony, right? For John Jones, it was DC, and now you have Dominic Reyes. There's no foil for the guy at flyweight. There's not even a guy at flyweight. I feel like if they established a guy and a foil, you're changing your tune.
Hold on, what do you mean by guy though? Just as far as promotion and marketing goes, as far as a sellable asset that you can market, or do you mean as far as talent? Because the talent's there.
Yeah, no, I
The
think
talent's-
where Michael's coming from in terms of even talent and marketability. It's important to have that guy. The only thing I would say though is that you don't always need that guy in order to have a stacked division. Look at middleweight, look at welterweight. There's no discernible, up until recently, there's no discernible guy in either of those weight classes.
No, I know,
it's
but
pretty much been, 3 or 4 people fighting for that one title.
But the point is that there's a foil. There is a rivalry. There's an established elite gunning for something. But there's no established at least not the UFC. The UFC has not said it. Me and you know it.
I
but
blame the UFC's marketing on that though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame that on the flyweight division itself. I mean, you have plenty of storylines that you could sell to the casual fans, right?
Of course, and I think that's the problem is that if you could sell Figueroa better. Benavidez has been a guy that we all know from time, but the thing is that we make a podcast about this, and I think a lot of people fail to recognize that. A lot of hardcores fail to recognize that you have to take your mind outside and understand that other people don't know Benavidez because the
And that's why I'm
UFC is
saying
a
I would
garbage.
scrap it.
I think the UFC. The problem has had one foot in and out of the flyweight division.
They're not committed.
They're not committed,
They're
and
not
I think
committed.
they suck. The UFC sucks at marketing stars. They want to push a brand. They don't want to push individual stars. And when we've seen stars succeed, it's been in spite of the UFC's support, not because of it.
Well, see, that's the problem is that tell me how you can make a 115 and a 135 in your 125 division slacking. Why? Because your stars were Ronda Rousey and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, right? In the women's UFC for a while. So all of a sudden, you're that middle part is lacking because you didn't bother to make a division in between because you didn't care. Mm-hmm. That is my point. If they cared and they were committed, they can make the guy and the foil to the guy. And for a while, they had it. They had it with Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo. And what did they do? They trade Demetrius Johnson to one championship for Ben Askren. And look, I didn't mind the trade. I didn't mind it at all. But it really goes to show you the lack of commitment they have in this product when it comes to this flyweight division.
Absolutely. I mean, that was at a time when they were planning on scrapping the division anyways.
Yeah, they cut Jose Shorty. They cut Jose Shorty Torres, who was a guy who I thought was going to be the Josh Koscheck of that division, who could, go around and cause some havoc. Right? They cut a lot of guys who are very talented. Right? And again, it goes to show you the lack of effort they have. When it comes to 25, they throw girls from all over the division, go, here you go fight.
They seem intent on creating these make-believe women's divisions.
Yeah, right. And so that's the point, is that they're not, you got to commit. If you're going to do this, 2 feet in, commit, and do it. And if it fails, fine, it failed. But at least you gave it a shot.
Did you guys see, speaking of completely unrelated topics, did you see my boy Magomed Ankalaev quietly climbing up the 205-pound division and getting that controversial stoppage win?
I did see that stoppage.
BS stoppage, but Ankalaev is a monster.
Man, he looked good.
Not that hard.
He looked good.
Very technical kickboxing. Super refined. Throws up a head kick like nobody else. Fights behind fakes. Yeah, man. Ian Kuntalaba, for the brief time that it lasted, looked outmatched. But what did you guys think of the stoppage?
It was a bad stoppage, a really bad stoppage. But I think that if they were to run it back, I have no issues putting a lot of money on Ankalaev to win that again. So while it was a bad stoppage, I don't necessarily think that the result is in doubt,
Yeah, let's run it back for the sake of not consistency. For the sake of, the fact that it was a bad stoppage, but it seems to be like a Kevin Lee, Michael Chiesa type situation where it's like it would just be a formality.
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
I saw the stoppage. I thought it was a bad stoppage. I thought it was a little bit early. Usually, I'm always on the fence about this kind of stuff. I don't think that, somebody needs to have brain damage for the fight to be stopped. But at the same time, I thought, I don't know, he looked pretty wobbly. He looked like he couldn't really catch his balance. And at the fight, at the event I was at yesterday, they stopped a lot of fights. Not a lot, but they stopped a few fights where, the people were in worse conditions. In fact, there's no standing count, right? So if the referee thinks you can't continue. So I didn't really it was early stoppage, but you can't complain. You shouldn't be putting yourself in that situation.
Okay, so
easier said than done, right?
Here's why I disagree with you. I agree with you on the fact that I'm with you. I lean generally on the side that a lot of fights could be stopped a lot earlier, and I think it would prolong careers. I think it would save a lot of fighters brain damage. I think we're all on board.
A lot of
with
fights
that,
ref by Mario Yamasaki and Steve Mazzagatti.
And Big Dan Mergliata.
Yeah.
Let's throw him under the bus, too.
Well, didn't he ref one of your fights and was giving you a lot of
hold on.
praise?
Yeah, he refed one of my fights and let me take 8 unanswered strikes to the back of the head. But, okay.
Seriously?
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sure he's a great guy, and I talked with him after the fight, and he seemed nice, but it doesn't change the fact that I got punched in the back of the head 8
Why
times.
is Big Dan refereeing amateur Canadian fights?
Amateur New York.
It was in New York.
But I digress. So I think wobbly as he may have been, I think Ian Kuntalaba deserved the chance to fight a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. I think while I agree that you ideally, like David said, you want to avoid those situations in which you're in danger of being finished, I think at that point it was maybe out of his control. And he was doing everything he could to fight back. We're not talking about someone who is fetal, lying on the floor in a turtle position, eating unanswered strikes. He was throwing back, albeit wildly. If our criteria for stopping the fight was you being wobbly, Robert Whittaker wouldn't have been the middleweight champion. So, I think, given the fact that it's a violent combat sport,
you gotta let somebody kind of.
Yeah, well, you don't want someone going out on their shield per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Once
you gotta
they're
give
no
them the
longer-
opportunity to fight.
You have to
rocked.
Yeah.
Let me just jump in here as well. Also, I think another thing is that this is MMA, so a huge part of the game is on the ground. You got to let it go to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if the dude is falling to the ground, and then once he hits the ground and he's limp, then you call it.
Well,
Like,
at
you
the same
can't just-
time, though, I thought Amanda Nunes versus Ronda Rousey was a great stoppage, and that didn't go to the ground one time. So.
Yeah, like there's cases where if somebody is clearly not in the fight and on their feet, like I don't think.
Yeah, but this wasn't that though.
No, it wasn't.
No, it
That's
was
my
not.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, I get.
in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was definitely not that. This was no Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes. This was, an opponent who is hurt, but clearly still in the fight. You know what I mean?
What do you guys think about this argument? Like, I've heard somebody say that it looked like Cutelaba was playing rope-a-dope a little bit. Do you guys buy that or no?
Not in the slightest.
I mean, maybe initially, but after a few of those shots, there was no playing at all. He was dope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it was rope-a-dope, and if it was, he deserves an Oscar. But
Yeah.
I think that he was still dangerous and in the fight, and possibly, we've seen fighters recover from worse.
Like Frankie Edgar, Nick Maynard.
Gray Maynard.
Gray Maynard. Great.
This podcast is going to be renamed to the Michael Asiffo Gaff Hour.
Oh man, I do not have CTE. I am a Jedi warrior. No, I'm kidding. Right, that's not my job.
It's true, he's a
but it
Jedi
won't be
warrior.
Funny in 20 years.
Yeah.
It's true he's a Jedi warrior. I've seen him killing younglings.
Oh yeah, of course. Let me throw it to Jeremy. Okay, so you're repping the UFC. You see a guy getting wobbly, right? First off, being a ref in the UFC is a tough job, but you're seeing a fighter getting wobbly,
But still throwing punches.
No,
you don't stop it.
You don't stop it. Okay.
No, you don't stop it.
All right. What if he takes 2 unanswered shots?
No, you still wouldn't stop it.
3? What's the line? What's the line?
There's no line.
Honest? I don't know. That David said that. I don't know. Because David said that it is a sport that can go to the ground, but I would say if they look like they're about to go down, like how somebody can fall back on the cage and then
Oh yeah, like do that leg.
if that happens twice, then I think that's when you call. But I don't like even if you throw if you throw six shots and they're unanswered, but the person still looks like they can fight and then they throw a punch, I still wouldn't stop it.
I think it's hard to say. I don't think like there's any X number of strikes and you stop it because some strikes can have more or less effect, right?
Yeah, everybody's different.
Yeah, I think there should be more fights when one fighter is outclassed, even if they're not at risk of being finished. I've said this before, where it could be stopped as well.
That's true, that too, and if they're being outclassed too, like, and there's still like punches that are being answered, then you can still stop it. Yeah.
So I think it's very subjective, but I think they're egregiously bad stoppages on both sides. Being stopped way too early and way too late are abundantly clear. And then there's a gray area somewhere in between where, we're like, maybe that could have been stopped a little early, or maybe it was an early stoppage, but it looked like he was on his way out or anyway. You know what I mean?
And then there's the ones where it's like, it was a bad stoppage, but I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Robbie Lawler or Ben Askren.
So it's a gray area. It's not mathematical what we're dealing with here. I fundamentally believe that. But on the extreme ends of the spectrum, it's pretty damn clear.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that's going to fix these problems is, more awareness for referees. I'm sure there's, the thing about being a referee is that when they're doing their job well, you don't notice them. But when they screw up, man, you notice very quickly.
Yeah. I mean,
and I just want to also add, it's a lot of pressure to be a referee.
Yeah,
you literally have someone's health. Like, you don't know these people, but you have their health in your, like, it's your responsibility responsibility to ensure that somebody's child goes home at the end of the night. You know what I mean? So obviously, in that kind of pressure, it's easy to make mistakes or make decisions that, you know, where you could have let it go on a little bit longer, but instead you choose something else. So I don't know.
So in the spirit of this, what's the worst stoppage you guys have seen that you can recall? Or just one that stands out in your mind as being particularly meh?
I can't really think of stoppages, like the worst stoppages. The ones that stand out to me are non-stoppages. So Raquel Pennington, for example, I thought the Max Holloway, Brian Ortega fight could have been stopped. Like, it's the ones where somebody's getting completely outmatched, and the referee doesn't stop it.
Right.
That's where I get to it.
But my problem with those ones is that, like, if you're a ref, what do you do? Because it's like they're still kind of sort of fighting back.
But are they? Are they effectively defending themselves? Are they putting up a spirited resistance?
No, I know, but the problem with it is that, like, if you're a ref and you stop it, you look like, you know what I'm saying? Everyone looks at you funny because it's like, oh, you're stopping because you're getting your you know what kicked almost, and not necessarily because you're in danger. And I know our perception of danger has changed over the years.
I think there needs to be more of that, though. I think there needs to be more. You're getting your you know what kick, therefore we're stopping it, and I'll say why.
Like, you walk over to the corner and go, like, listen,
it's done. It's done. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason that Raquel Pennington needed to walk out for that. Was it fourth or fifth round?
It was the fifth.
The fifth round. Like, there's a point where it's questionable, and then there's a point where it's ludicrous. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a point where you're giving them a chance to fight back, and then there's a point where you're just accumulating brain trauma that's going to end their career earlier.
I remember there was I think it was Khabib versus Edson Barboza, where Edson looked like he was being held at gunpoint. It was getting ugly.
It could be stopped.
And the question came in: should they stop this fight? And I would have been like, absolutely. But Edson went out there, and it didn't turn any worse than it was. But it was a mauling, and I think maybe Edson could have benefited from the ref coming to the corner in the second round and being like, we're stopping it here.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, even if he didn't get finished, we have to consider the implications that fight is going to have on his long-term health, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, we will stop a fight if somebody gets put in a mounted crucifix position. You know what that guy? You guys know what that is? Yeah. Mounted crucifix? No.
Basically, you're in side control, but someone gets your arm in between their legs, so, like, now all of a sudden you
can't. And the other arm's pinned? Yeah.
Like the last Valentina fight.
Yes,
exactly. So Caitlin Trukagan may not have been unconscious, but it's clear that she's not getting out of that position, and she's going to continue to eat strikes. And if there were no time limits and no referees, and Valentina were there, she'd be there for the end of time, hammering away until her last brain cell was gone. Right?
Can I just say something though?
Yeah.
And I say this with the caveat that we have to be mindful of time because we're nearly 2 hours in. And
1.5 hours.
Yeah. And we haven't talked at all about next week's fight.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's a much bigger fight. Much bigger fight. But I feel like a lot of the time, like, it actually doesn't matter how much damage you're taking. If you think about it, like, damage really isn't the litmus test. It isn't really what determines whether a fight gets stopped a lot of the times. It's pretty much, what are we comfortable with watching? Are we comfortable with watching, soccer kicks or, I don't know, like a choke or an arm being broken or something like that? Or
I get what you mean. Like, if it's well on its way.
Can you elaborate?
No, I generally think, like, a lot of the times, like, we'll be okay with somebody getting head kicked to smithereens if they fall and then they show some kind of fight on the floor and, they manage to last to the end of the round. As long as they make it to the end of the round, they were like, oh, okay, they're fine. It's okay. Well, but let's say somebody is actually getting pummeled repeatedly for the entire round, then
all of a sudden we turn into stop, he's already dead, like,
Yeah, no, it kind of speaks to your crucifix point. Like, that's not necessarily, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a very dominant position, but there are worse positions you could be caught in, and there's probably positions where the strike can have way more damage.
Well, that's the problem is you're dealing with a lot of gray when you talk about stopping the fight. Like,
exactly.
I mean, my argument for the crucifix position is once you're in it, there's like no escape. There's no practical escape because you're literally stapled to the mat. Whereas I agree, when someone's postured up on you and mount, I mean, it's more or less the same scenario. If you're there for an extended period of time and you're bucking and moving but eating a lot of shots, they will stop the fight, right? And my point on damage is that we do need to consider the long-term implications of damage if we don't now. And I do think there is a certain hypocrisy that I would agree with you with how fights are stopped.
Yeah.
And how we think about how fights are stopped.
But anyway, you guys brought up a good point. We haven't talked Romero.
Are we previewing it?
Yeah, we're gonna preview it.
Let's pull up the
card.
The juicy card.
Can somebody get out a piece of paper and?
Okay, yeah. Let's do a prediction. I'll put out like the Google Docs. Jeremy stall. Do like a little dance or something. Let me get some paper.
While Michael is pulling out his piece of paper, I'll just.
Who's got a pen? Oh, hold on. Let me go to the office. I'll get.
If you don't have pens, you can purchase them off of penisland.com. Excellent website. Ooh, wow. This is a silently stacked card, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
look at the undercard. We got Mad Madsen fighting, for goodness sake. Like, are you kidding me?
Let me take a look.
Mark Madsen. Oh, we do. Okay, let me. I'm going to list. Oh, you know my idea.
And O'Malley, Stephen O'Malley too.
Sean O'Malley.
No, sorry, Sean O'Malley.
Okay, I'm just going to list the main card here, top to bottom. We've got Alex Oliveira fighting Max Griffin. Alex Oliveira is going to do something illegal. Then we have Edmund Shabazian versus Derek Brunson canceled. That would have been interesting. The meteoric rise of Edmund Shabazian. Edmund Tarverdian, Ronda Rousey's coach.
I was about to say, he's a Glendale guy.
His last prospect, his last hope for redeeming his tarnished legacy. Then we have Neil Magny versus Li Jinyang. Neil Magny, perennial contender, one of the hardest workers in MMA, against Li Jinyang, who seems to like biting and eye gouging and carries knockout power in both hands. A skilled kickboxer out of China. Benil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose. Benil Dariush, one of the best pure jiu-jitsu practitioners in the UFC right now against a hot rising contender.
Okay, so I don't have a pen, but I have notes on my phone, so we're going to use that.
And then finally, in our co-main event, we have Wei Li Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the rise of the Polish sensation, back to glory, whose name we can't pronounce, against the largely untested Chinese fighter, Wei Li Zhang, who knocked out Jessica Andrade in her last fight in sensational performance. And then finally in our main event, we have the champion of all nerds alike, Israel Adesanya.
He defends our honor.
Against the man of steel of communism himself, Yoel, the soldier of God, Romero. I love you, Mike!
And can I just say, what's the word? How do you phrase this? My brain's all over the dead. Michael PT, contagious. Shout out to Sugar Sean also. Ronaldo Vieira, I think it's going to be an exciting fight. And what's his name? Darren Wynn, too, is also on the card.
Oh, yeah, Darren Wynn is on the card to redeem himself after his loss.
Daniel Cormier's prospect, 5'5", fighting at middleweight.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
How? Why? I don't understand.
Because
I love it,
that's what they do, okay? Undersized. Look, I'm 5'10", I play in the middleweight division. People would say I'm undersized.
And this man is 5'5", picking people up above his head and slamming them.
It's amazing.
Also, Rudolfo Vieira. If you filthy casuals out there don't know who Rudolfo Vieira is, this man at one time was one of the best jiu-jitsu competitors in the world, competing at heavyweight, and he's now at middleweight. His debut into the UFC was lackluster, to say the best, but look for some high-level jiu-jitsu. Hopefully he transfers his skill sets and learns a little more of an MMA-style ground game, because I was not impressed by his last performance. But
okay, so are we going to talk just main card, or are we going to go...
we could just talk main event. What do you guys think?
Well, I got
we don't have the most time in the world.
Okay, so let's run through the predictions, because I want to do a predictions thing, and we've not been able to get to it. So we're gonna do this. Okay, so let's see. Max Griffin, Alex Oliveira. Who we got, everybody?
I don't know enough about Max Griffin.
Fight.
Sorry?
I've never seen Max Griffin
All right,
fight.
who cares? Okay. Neil Magny versus Li Jinyang. Do we want to do a thing on that?
I think Li Jinyang, Neil Magny should probably get this done in my opinion, based on being more well-rounded, I see him grinding out Li Jingyang over the course of this fight.
Okay.
Agreed. Neil Magny's nice.
Yeah. All right.
Nothing
Cool.
chill.
Cool. So you know what?
Although, can I just say, if Lee does win, man, there's a rise in Chinese fighters nowadays. So after last week with Song Kanan and that other dude, is it T Yan or something?
And Song Yadong at 135.
Yeah, there's a wave of Chinese fighters. I know there's a whole coronavirus thing going on that's kind of affecting the country, but that Chinese Performance Institute, man, if there's one thing I'm certain is that if you give it enough time, we're going to have a male Chinese champion sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. A meteoric rise of the Chinese fighters up in the division. We were talking about the Russian takeover. Perhaps we should be talking about the Chinese takeover.
Yeah.
So, Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose. What do you guys think?
I think Klose has it.
Do you?
I think Klose has it. This is Beneil has not been the same ever since that flying knee knockout to Edson Barbosa.
A fight which I thought he was winning.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it to Klose. I think Klose has looked really impressive in the UFC, and so yeah, give me Klose in that one.
I'll abstain. I don't know enough about either fighter, honestly. So I'll abstain. Pass.
Wow, yeah, he's really had a checkered record since. Okay. I'm going to trust Mike's suspicion on this, and we will move along to...
Okay. Oh, and Jeremy, you got anybody, or you want to stay till?
I'm just gonna make my prediction on the main one. I don't know too much about these fighters.
All right, cool, fair.
Wei Li Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the Boogie Woman.
I think Joanna's really long. I think she's got the path to beat Wei Li Zhang. I think it's gonna be a short-lived title reign for Wei Li. And I'm a fan of Wei Li.
Me too.
I'm a real big fan. I really like that best 1-2 in the game. So the women's okay, man. He gave me a look, but I'm gonna give it to Joanna though.
I tend to agree. I feel like unless Wei Li Zhang comes in with a very special game plan, Joanna is going to beat her based on her command of range and her footwork, her length. I predict this going a similar way to Jessica Andrade versus Joanna, where Joanna, stays on the back foot, circles the cage well, makes use of her jab, as Zhang tries to close distance, and when she's static, makes use of leg kicks and work to the body, and just over the course of 5 rounds, wilts her and gets the decision victory. That's personally how I see it. But who knows? Zhang could come in with a game plan, maybe force it into grappling range, but it's going to be very difficult. Like, Joanna seems to deal very, very well with shorter opponents, particular grapplers who are trying to close distance on her. Mm-hmm. Boys?
Yeah, no, I'm there. I'm gonna go with. Oh wait, I already said Joanna. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Joanna. David, who you got?
I'm actually going to go with Wei Li Zhang. Initially, I was going to go with Joanna, but I just think that, I don't know, there's just something about Joanna that I think, like, you don't know which version you're going to get sometimes, and especially when the lights are the brightest, I feel like that's when she has, like, a lot of the times her worst performances. Obviously, she's coming off a win against Michelle Waterson, which was pretty good, but she was just, like, a far, far superior striker to Michelle Waterson, who isn't bad herself, but it was just not a good matchup at all. I think Wei Li Zhang hits harder. I think she's bigger. I think Joanna's good with people who aren't going to respect her strike, who are going to over-respect her striking, if that makes any sense.
I get what you're saying. Like, they kind of approach her timidly.
Exactly, and I don't think Wei Li Zhang is like that. I think, if anything, Wei Li Zhang has, as you said, got a great 1-2. She's got those nice straight punches. She's super explosive, and I think that could give Joanna some problems, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Wei Li Zhang on this one. And even though I actually agree with Stefano, I still don't think she's been tested, even with her win against Jessica Andrade. I still don't think she's been tested. That was like on the home turf. So, I don't know.
So, David, if I could clarify, you're saying that Joanna is like a box of chocolates.
You don't know what you're gonna get.
Sure.
Okay, but
Wait, Jeremy's prediction.
Jeremy, who you got? Are you gonna abstain from this one too, or
Yeah.
all right? He's abstaining. Okay.
Abstinence, guys. It's cool.
It's great.
Christian podcast, man.
Christian podcast. But in terms of Darius versus Close, you're gonna abstain or for sure, or you're
Who, me?
yes, you.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say.
Okay.
I know of both of the fighters. I think I watched Rickard Close's last fight. He looks nice, looks physical. It's basically like athlete versus technician, right?
Yeah,
So,
basically.
Oh, wait.
I don't know. I like Rickard Close, so.
Yeah. No,
I
the only
guess
reason
I'll
why
go
I'm
with
asking
him,
is because I'm putting in the things on my
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
okay. I thought you were looking for like a breakdown. Oh,
No, I have no
yeah,
answer.
Put me down for Close.
Yeah,
Put me down
okay.
for Close.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna
okay.
go with Dariush on that one, by the way.
Oh, you're going with Dariush?
Yeah, I have to support my my jiu-jitsu boy.
All right, cool. And main event.
Hey, Israel.
Israel Adesanya.
Why you say something for this like me?
Tell Dana the date.
Tell him the day.
Tell Dana. No,
You
so,
need respect for Cuba. You need respect for my country.
man, and then the dance battle, which was like it scared.
Epic.
That scared me because I didn't know y'all could move like that.
My God.
He moves like he's 45 pounds.
Would you be surprised at if this man could accomplish anything?
He's 40 something. Like, how does he do this? I don't understand. But
Because
okay.
he
Wait,
is
first of all, I think it's hilarious that when asked about it, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fight for 10 more years." I mean, come on, buddy. Come on, man. Like, we're saying you're too old now.
If anyone
Anyway,
could.
I also can't believe we talked about that Joanna versus Weili Zhang fight without talking about Joanna's Instagram post. Did you
Oh
see
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Are we bringing up her surgery?
No, not that. Not her surgery. No, the one where she puts
She
like
looks
a
good
monkey
post-surgery,
mask over the thing. The
Wait, what'd
coronavirus
she
stuff.
post? Say that again.
The coronavirus stuff.
Oh yeah, that was super out of line.
What'd she do? I didn't see it.
Okay, I'm reading off the Wikipedia here, and it's like on January 28th, 2020, Joanna posted an image of her incoming competition against Chinese martial artist Weili Zhang on her Instagram. In the poster, Joanna is wearing a gas mask, which is widely considered insinuating a then outbreak of coronavirus in China. The gas mask and the three emojis, see no evil monkey, happy and crying face, and smile with heart, in the same post caused wide criticism due to the insult. Basically, she was saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be fighting a Chinese person, and she might have coronavirus." Essentially.
Oh my God.
It was-
and then
yeah.
afterwards, she released like another Instagram, basically saying like, "I love Chinese people," and then doing like racist Chinese eyes, and then just nothing good.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Joanna, why?
Yeah.
Look,
So that's why I'm with Weili Zhang on this one too.
I'm a fan of trash talk, but I think at a certain point,
That's
too far, man.
Too
far. Like,
Come on, man. There are people dying.
yeah.
that's
Keep the families and the natural disasters and the plagues and other such things out of it. Like,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, Joanna will not be getting any Chinese sponsors anytime soon. That's for sure.
Nope.
Wait, you mean Huawei isn't going to be sponsoring Joanna?
What will she do? No.
Anyway, sorry, we were talking about the main events, Adesanya versus Romero.
So, Mike, you want to get on this one first, or should I?
Okay, I'll bite. I think Israel Adesanya beats him. I was at first I was definitely in the camp of Romero beats. Does it lose again? I just think that Israel Adesanya has a path. Like the path is that you're going to basically keep Romero like I think that Israel Adesanya can keep a pace on Yoel Romero that will keep Yoel Romero guessing.
Right.
If he can keep Yoel Romero guessing, like Whitaker did in their first fight, I think it's going to be tough. but Israel has shown the character to me to be able to win on tough fights.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think Israel Adesanya beats him.
Now, I largely agree, and I think Israel should beat him. I think Israel is very sophisticated in the way that he mixes his strikes together through fakes, confusing you in order to not allowing you to throw an educated counter at him, just constantly keeping you on your toes. I think he should beat Yoel Romero in that way. I think he's more defensively sound than
And that's
Robert
what he
Whittaker.
does.
I think he should beat him and take less damage doing it. Now, that being said, I feel like given the unpredictability of what Yoel Romero does, his athleticism and just the sheer speed at which he closes distance, I wouldn't feel comfortable placing money on a fight like this. I'm never comfortable betting against Yoel Romero, and
Ever.
I'll never put money against him because you never know what he's going to pull out of his bag of tricks. However, I think Israel should beat him and beat him taking less damage than Robert Whittaker did.
Yeah.
But so I will tentatively say the champion for us nerds, Israel Adesanya.
So Romero has fought Adesanya before.
No.
No. Who did he lose to? Romero?
Whitaker twice and Paulo Costa, although
The Paulo Costa one's questionable, as is like the
the
Robert
second
Whittaker one.
Yeah, the second
Yeah,
Whitaker
for sure.
one, I would
Can I just
say.
jump
Who did he
in
beat?
Sorry, David, jump in.
Who did he beat?
No, I
Everybody.
just wanted to say that I actually think that Romero actually won that Costa fight.
Yeah, me
When
too.
I watched
I
it,
thought so
it was
too.
pretty clear.
I've seen it twice, and I came to the same conclusion every time. And if Jeremy, so you said who did he beat?
Who did he beat?
I'll
Who
list-
was a staple that he beat?
I'll list off a bunch for you, but even the people that beat him, he's one of those people, you never come out of a fight of this man, you're not the same human being afterwards. Nobody is the same human being.
Whitaker made the joke openly that he might fight Yoel Romero again just for fun, and everyone started dying because like everyone knows, like it was like, oh,
Let me.
Yeah, because I remember Yoel Romero when he was like in his prime, but now that he's older, like who has he beaten that when he was older?
So let me list off this resume. Other than his silver medal in the Olympics, his mixed martial arts record here, we've got.
Find some more recent fights.
Oh
too.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Um,
So we've
what-
got a knockout of Luke Rockhold.
Yeah.
Knocked out Chris Weidman via flying knee.
Okay.
Beat Jacare Souza. Knocked out Lyoto Machida.
Okay.
Knocked out Tim Kennedy. Derek Brunson. Ronnie Marks. And then the list goes on and on. All top level competition that he's just.
And I would argue he beat Whitaker the second time, and he beat Costa. But they show up as losses. So
I think I'm going to take the younger dog in this fight. I think I'm going to go Adesanya just based on age.
that's fair.
Fair enough, yeah.
David, who you got?
Keeps it simple. I like it, man. That's why I like Jeremy on the show, man. I feel like we're too highfalutin, and he just breaks it down real nice.
No, because my what I do on this show is just listen, and then I take all the information that I can, and I make an educated guess.
That's good. No, it grounds us. It grounds us because we don't know anything about anything, no matter how many.
Speak for yourself, David. But go on, tell me. What are you thinking?
I'm going to be. I'm going to definitely go with Adesanya, but I'm going to be honest and say that it's not from like any kind of like analytical standpoint, or I'm not really thinking about it. It's more of an emotional pick.
More of a
because
feeling.
I'm Nigerian, and I'm Nigerian, and I will always shout out all my African fighters. So shout out Adesanya.
Hey,
The one
Mike's
thing I will
Nigerian
say-
too.
Oh, you.
Yeah, man, killers.
never say that to
You know the
again.
vibes. Anyway,
I also told him that Nigerian jollof rice is better. David, I'm sure you agree.
yes,
Oh,
Get out.
yes.
those are fighting words. Those are
Yes.
fighting words.
You're invited to the Nigerian cookout.
Hey,
You're invited.
my dude.
All right.
I don't even think he's
anyway,
had Nigerian jollof rice. He just says it to spite me. It's fun.
Why
So-
not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You see, we're not exclusive like you can name.
Exactly.
Everyone's invited.
So it looks like we've got an all Adesanya panel, and I think it's all because we're nerds.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what the thing is? Also, like stylistically, it's a good matchup for him because as much as Yoel Romero is like an Olympic caliber wrestler, he doesn't really use it that much.
No.
He's still
Yeah, he
primarily
doesn't.
a stand-up fighter.
I
Unless like
agree.
he has great defensive wrestling, obviously. But he's for the most part, he's going to stand up, and you're just feeding. If you're going to be swinging wild overhand rights, like, you're just feeding into Adesanya's game because he's just going to time you and counter you, and, like, it's a wrap.
I think he keeps... That's the thing. Like, Paulo Costa forced him to engage in a firefight, and usually Yoel likes to be fairly low activity. There's long lulls in the fight where he's not doing very much, and then he just explodes and takes you out. But Paulo Costa forced him into the type of fight, at his own... what's the word for it? Maybe to his own detriment because of the amount of punishment he had to absorb, but he forced a fight on Yoel Romero, which was high volume, with a lot of exchanges in which they were both absorbing each other's best shots. And I think I agree with you on that. I think Israel Adesanya keeps Yoel Romero looking in the mirror and hesitating and waiting in front of him for large parts of this fight. I think he does it the same kind of thing, but more intelligently with less volume.
But see, that's why I'm looking towards Adesanya. I just feel like that pressure that Adesanya puts on you, that mental pressure. I talk about mental pressure sometimes. That mental pressure he puts on you to throw something or back up is going to get Romero to keep on guessing. Because I think how Romero gets these guys is he lulls you to sleep, and all of a sudden, boom, he hits you with something that you didn't think he was going to hit you with.
He's not going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
When you get someone, because I agree. I think Adesanya is going to be constantly doing his due diligence to keep throwing those fakes at Romero that are going to keep him guessing, as opposed to just sitting and staring at you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's weird, though. Like, sometimes I think, like, I'd like to just be in the mind of Yoel Romero for a second, because you're right. He has this wrestling pedigree which is unrivaled, and he'll just make these decisions where it's like, okay, I think I'm going to stand with Leona Machida. And then 1 second, and then just somewhere in the third round, he's like, oh, I have an Olympic silver medal. And then he just takes him down and elbows him into oblivion. Like, what is this man's thought process like? He's just making decisions off the cuff, like, and winning.
It's weird because, like, it's worked for him all this way. So, but, like, that's my question. Like, okay, if Yoel Romero does take Israel Adesanya or is a willing wrestler, do we think Yoel Romero wins the fight, or are we still?
I think his chances are improved. But I think in order to take Adesanya down, you're going to have to get through that layer of fakes and strikes and receding movements. I don't think it's as simple as, I'm going to choose to grapple with you, because I think Adesanya is not going to consent to that grappling range.
For sure. And I think, like, if you're going to be, in my opinion, if you're going to, like, truly out-grapple Adesanya, you need to do it like GSP. You need to mix it up with some strikes, because you're not going to just shooting nakedly and you're not going to get a hold of that. Like, you're going to eat a knee, you're going to eat a jab, you're going to eat something.
Or he's just going to circle the cage and you're going to be shooting at air.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, he's not going to give you that chance. So I definitely think you need to mix it up. What I will say, though, is the person who's done the best against him, Calvin Gastelum, actually has a little bit of a wrestling background. And what's interesting is that once he started to wrestle a little bit more, he started to lose. So it's almost like the more you try to wrestle Adesanya, the more you're feeding into his game plan, and the more, like, tired you're making yourself, and the more he can get his counter-striking off.
Yeah, that was an interesting fight. I forgot about that fight.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, thank you for reminding me about that. I forgot about that Gastelum Adesanya fight.
It kicked my ass. I swore. It was wonderful.
You've said ass multiple times on this podcast.
I did. I have. Keep in mind, Clefo Dollar once said it in a sermon. So
No.
We're not doing that again.
We're not doing that again. Anyway, but that's to say that even if you look at the Derek Brunson fight, like, Derek Brunson, decent wrestler, pretty much.
Wait, decent. This is an All-American.
He's a very good wrestler. But point taken, wrestling within mixed martial arts is different from, let's put on a singlet, a tight spandex singlet like it's Borat and exchange double legs. Like, you have to be a little more sophisticated with your attempts of your takedown, right? You have to time it under strikes, or you have to throw strikes of your own and enter into clinch range or shoot underneath your own strikes. Like, it's not... You have to be a little more deceptive when wrestling, so point taken. And Yoel Romero doesn't tend to be that guy. He tends to be just, I'm going to shoot now because I feel like it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Speed is a setup.
Though, is Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, in speed and athleticism tend to be his his setup. Like speed has speed sometimes is its own setup, right? Like, but yeah, different animal.
No, that's what I was going to say. I was going to agree and say that I think he has a chance in terms of in the striking department because he does have the explosiveness that striking, which kind of Kelvin Gastelum kind of has in terms of they can get into the pocket and kind of in unorthodox ways, in ways you're not expecting.
Exactly.
But once again, I just think Adesanya is banking on that, and he's just not going to let him get close. I think another good fight to keep in the bank, if you want to, in trying to analyze this one, is the Adesanya versus Anderson Silva fight, because once again, another high-level striker, but it was almost like fighting like a mirror version of himself. And in that version, I would think Yoel Romero would kind of try and do what Anderson Silva was doing, because Anderson Silva knew he was outgunned in that fight, but he was still trying to put it on Adesanya. And I think that's what Romero's going to try and do.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if just the thing is that what Anderson did that I think made him semi-competitive in that match is that he would set these traps for Adesanya. I don't know if Yoel Romero has that striking intelligence to do that, right? And so that's where it looks good and like maybe you should take a page out of that. That's where I'm like, I don't know if necessarily that's the best game plan for a Romero, you know?
Yeah. No, given since we all been very pro Adesanya, I wanted to ask you gentlemen a question. Would any of you be surprised? We all expect Adesanya to win, but would any of you be surprised if Romero ends up knocking out Adesanya?
Absolutely not.
Me neither.
Yeah, absolutely not. He could.
You just said what? You just said that his striking isn't his greatest game.
Jeremy, he is such an athletic freak and so explosive. And go look at what he did.
Adesanya could take hits though.
That's
why I'd be surprised.
Go look at what he did to.
Nobody emerges the same after they fight Yoel Romero. Though. That's the thing. Like I think that
he
Adesanya
will get hit.
Should win.
Yeah, he will get hit.
Will he win? Probably. Would I be surprised if Romero ended up knocking him out? Absolutely not.
Yeah, this is the problem is that Romero is such an athletic freak and such a wild card that you don't know what he's gonna do. He could be. Go watch Weidman because Weidman had probably the best the performance of his life.
He was beating Romero, for the entirety
beating
of that
him
fight.
sideways, and then all of a sudden,
until Romero decided
gone.
He was going to throw a flying knee when Weidman shot it, and he's like, "Oh, okay. I don't like being in this fight anymore. I'm going to throw a flying knee."
I'm hungry now. Flying knee, boom,
and threw a flying knee with such force that he did a front flip over Chris Weidman after he connected with his knee to his head. He front flipped over top of him.
Wow!
And then proceeded to lay some hands on him, and then and was fresh enough to go over the ring, walk around the ring as he did this soldier impression because his nickname's the Soldier of God.
And tried to convert the entire crowd to Christianity.
Yeah. So keep in mind, remember that when you watch this fight, that this guy in a second can turn it on. And his third rounds are the stuff of legend.
Yeah.
His third round, for a guy who's explosive and quick, fast twitch muscles, you'd expect him to slow down by third. Not him. By third round, he's a dangerous animal. Now, this is a 5-round fight, so he might turn into 5th round Romero, but the point still remains.
No for gay Jesus, as he said.
Barely moving for like a couple of those rounds. Yoel Romero is renowned for taking rounds off, and Israel Adesanya does not take rounds off. If you think you're just going to stand there and download data, he's going to be peppering you the entire time.
Yeah, which is why I think Adesanya wins, because it's like how Romero gets these guys is that they're not active against Romero because they're waiting for that explosiveness and trying to catch it. I think where Adesanya is going to get Romero into some trouble is that he's going to keep this constant mental pressure to draw Romero out, and then he's going to take advantage of him there.
But Yoel Romero's no for gay Jesus.
Yeah, no for gay Jesus.
He's not for gay Jesus, so that is going to be to his advantage.
You know what was crazy about that? It means
that Adesanya is for gay Jesus. But go on.
Okay, what's crazy about this is I have Cuban friends, and like they all do this thing where like instead of don't do this, they go no, do this. So like he's going no, forget Jesus, but the problem is his English is so bad, right? That like he goes no, forget Jesus.
Oh yeah, Jeremy, do you know about this? Okay, let me.
I feel like I can use context because we'll go ahead and tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so Yoel Romero, he's the soldier of God. He's very religious, and after the fight,
He's our Christian hero. We should have picked him. That's
well, he's not. I'm just gonna shut up.
yeah. I've heard stories. Don't worry. But like he
No, I wasn't saying about him. I was saying about my religious beliefs.
Okay.
Or lack thereof. But so Yoel Romero, after the fight, he was talking to the crowd, and he was like,
What happened to you, USA?
he goes on this tangent that nobody can understand. He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
for you, USA.
What happened to you, USA?
Go for Jesus. No for gay Jesus. And everyone thought he said, not for gay Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? And
Twitter
everyone's
But he
yeah.
meant
Twitter
no,
exploded.
don't forget Jesus.
yeah.
No for gay Jesus.
And so, but nothing made me more mad. I'm like, yo, you guys have a Cuban population,
Yeah.
literally in one of your most profitable states, and you know Cubans instead of don't say no, and you know they say every T with a Y, and all of a sudden you just forget that to go on social media and go on your soapbox. Really, like that's what made me so mad about that. It's like
I guess those people were for gay Jesus. As, you know, how could you not be, you know?
Okay, guys. On this note,
all right, okay. Let's see. We're 2 hours in, and I don't mind. Whatever.
Oh, I wanted to give a quick shout out to a friend of mine that fought on Saturday.
Go ahead.
My boy Eric, who fought at BTC, was robbed of what should have been rightfully his, but it's okay because he will be back. This man, hold on. I'm getting over the Bud Light virus. My boy Eric took a fight with this killer, Vlad, on 5 days' notice. BTC called him up and said, hey, do you want to fight? And he checked the scale and he was 175. And he cut...
Would you like some water? Are you trying to wash down your balls?
Yes, please. Those balls get stuck in your throat. You know how it is.
Wow.
wow.
There you go.
Sweet,
He's good.
sweet, refreshing, nourishing water. So, took this fight on 5 days' notice, a weight class, 2 weight classes up from what he normally competes at, and got robbed of a decision. So I just wanted to shout him out. Eric, you have some of the best leg locks in MMA, and he will be back, so keep your eye on him.
All right.
Awesome. Anybody else we want to shout out?
Oh, are we doing Fighter of the Week again?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
So, let me remember this gentleman's name.
Oh, you're talking about Guillotine from Side Control guy?
Oh, no, you can do that if you want. But
I can't remember his name. That's
Okay,
the thing.
I'll pull it up. Because these gentlemen deserve our...
Man. Because okay, so basically whoever he's gonna name, I can't remember his name, but basically he took a man's soul last night as he. Don't worry, I'll turn off your mic, Stefano. I got you. What mic is he? 2. Okay.
You can turn it back on.
All right, cool.
So
He took his soul by having a guillotine on.
Oh, I got you. I know who it is.
Yeah. Now the defense for it is you basically just get out of the guard.
We're talking about Jordan Griffin.
Jordan
He
Griffin.
fought T.J. Brown.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Jordan Griffin get locks on this guillotine, but he doesn't have the guard all the way. So
At all. He was.
I know.
This gentleman passed into side control.
Yeah, passed into side control.
T.J. Brown
TJ Brown.
passed into side control.
And
Max.
yeah, and Jordan Griffin basically gets a high elbow guillotine, holds it down, and turns and hip escapes to his, I want to say left or right, depending on the footage. I can't remember, but he hip escapes to the opposite side.
Or towards his opponent.
Yeah.
So his hips were facing his opponent.
Yeah, and gets this high elbow guillotine and just holds it down.
So yeah, can I break it down for the uninitiated?
Sure, go ahead.
So basically, the conventional wisdom is when you get a guillotine, you have to remain in guard. If the opponent passes your legs into side control, they pass the guard, you can now be choked yourself with a move called the Von Flue, right? So usually the conventional wisdom is once your opponent passes your guard and you have that guillotine, you let go of it. Now, There's a certain guillotine called the Marcellitine or the high elbow guillotine.
High elbow.
I believe he modified it though. He actually used the Mackenzatine if you watch it, which is where you put your hands in like a praying position here, and you just squeeze or push your hand.
Why is it called the Mackenzie team? Because of Mackenzie.
Cody McKenzie.
Oh, Cody McKenzie.
Yeah,
it's
his move. So, given this, right? If you don't mind your P's and Q's, even if your opponent passes guard to the correct side, right? So if they
Which TJ Brown did not.
No, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
He passed into the guillotine side.
Bet me.
Okay, he probably did. You know what? If you're that confident, I don't think so.
It was the correct side. So his head is on one side, his legs are on the other. He's inside.
I'm 90% sure he went to the. Okay, I'm not because you're super confident. But I'm okay. Fine.
So he's on the correct side, Mike, and he Jordan Griffin.
Are you sure his legs were not on that? Okay, I'm gonna stop.
I would bet.
Great content, guys. Great content.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So he's applying this guillotine, and like I said, conventional wisdom is you can't get it if you pass the guard to the correct side. But if you have a high elbow guillotine or this Mackenzatine, you can, because it's still, you're applying enough pressure that you can cut off both arteries, right? Passing to side control real in and of itself, especially if you get your hips out, really doesn't free up space. So it took a second. The referee didn't notice it because it may be the first time in UFC history that someone has been put out from a guillotine from bottom side control. So,
and then Jordan Griffin after the match took TJ Brown's girl, his mother, and I'm kidding. That did not happen. I can't confirm. But
this is a feminist podcast.
But you know what? Like, honestly, it's one of those moves that if you do that, like, you've taken somebody's soul. Effectively, you own their soul for about 3 weeks. They have to give you like a soda. Do your dishes in your home.
Do your homework.
Do your homework.
So is Jordan Griffin your shout out for Fighter of the Week?
Yes, because that was awesome. But I'm 90% sure TJ Brown didn't do a correct defense.
Bet me then.
90%'s
a lot. Bet me. What do you want to bet?
Nah, I'm okay. Yeah. I'm just like, the way you're confident about it, I have to see this footage again.
I should have acted less confident.
Yeah, like,
no, I don't know about this, but I'm pretty sure. Do you want to bet?
It's like, because when I remember looking at the footage, TJ Brown's feet went to the guillotine side, which is like the no. Like, even a regular guillotine finishes you there.
Bet you dinner on it.
No, because like I shelled out so much. Okay, we'll talk off here.
Yeah. My shout out for the week for Fighter of the Week, and I'm going to go unconventional here again. Did you guys see Spike Carlisle on the undercard? The ginger, the devious ginger or whatever. So this guy comes out dancing to the ring. He's this pale ginger with dreadlocks or cornrows, and
wonderful.
Does this maniacal laugh before when they're announcing his name, like literally like the Grinch laugh. But holy shit! I mean,
oh my!
Man,
forgive me, gay Jesus.
We were so close.
Forgive me, gay Jesus. Forgive me, gay Jesus.
Why? We're 2 hours. We were so close.
Gay Jesus, who watches over this podcast, forgive me of my sins. But this guy managed to score a head kick knockout over Aaron Cruz, who seemed a little bit not overmatched, but. Yeah, I don't know. I like his whole shtick, and I'm interested in seeing more of him. Plus, who doesn't like a head kick knockout?
Oh, you're right. He did go the right way, and yeah, he did go the right way.
David and Jeremy, Fighter of the Week, and if I hope one of you says.
I think that's our golden, Jeremy.
I didn't get a chance to see any fights this week, but due to the fights that are coming up, I think the Fighter of the Week is going to be Romero, only because this week he's got to get mentally prepared to go to war for 5 rounds. So I'll give it to him in terms of what he's about to walk into, what he has to do, prepare mentally for this week.
David?
Okay, I actually have 2, and like Jeremy, unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch all of the fights like usual. But I'm going to talk about 2 guys that I'm happy they got the win, and I really would have loved to watch. Number 1, Luis Pena, Violent Bob Ross. Shout out him. I'm a big fan. That guy is huge for the division. Huge.
6'3".
man, what? He's huge, and he can fight. Like, he's a great striker. His jiu-jitsu's not bad. Like, yeah, I like him. I think, like, with the right tutelage, like, he could be a future champion. One day. Not right now. The guys at the top of the lightweight division are just a little bit too tough for him, but he's got some really nice skills.
Yeah, he had a great performance on this card, uncharacteristic of him, but one with grappling mostly.
Fair enough. No, I like his style. He almost, sometimes he can seem a little sleepy, because he's like, his name is Violent Bob Ross, but yeah, it's almost like sometimes he's waiting for the other person to kind of like make it a brawl so that he can get excited. But yeah, there's been a lot of fights where I feel like he should have dominated and he just kind of looked lackluster. But shout out him, I like him. And he's also like apparently there's some story about him finding his biological parents. I always like those little stories in MMA too. And then last but not least, Grant Dawson.
Oh, I like that guy.
I like
Impressive
him.
performance.
He's got good skills, but he recently had like one of these weird quotes where he was trying to Colby Covington. He basically said that everybody in 145 was like old and past it or something like that.
Why would he wait 145?
Or sorry, not
170.
Yeah, he's a
Grant
170.
Dawson, featherweight? No.
Grant Dawson.
Oh wait, yes. No, he did. I remember this
he
because
had that thing.
Oh, I'm thinking Brendan Allen. My mistake.
he did.
No. I think like he might have like a a disability or something like that. I think there's something to that. But he's like a really high level wrestler. Lots of hype. He's like 23 or something like that. And recently had a quote, like a weird quote, and Mike and I talked about it in one of these.
Yeah, no, I remember because he's a really, really good fighter. Like
yeah.
Well, hopefully he doesn't. I think the issue with people is that like, and I've said this a lot, is that no one has an identity anymore. So you're trying to go the way of like Conor McGregor or Colby Covington. And what they fail to realize is like, Derek Lewis didn't do it with trash talk. Derek Lewis did it with being funny, having a good social media presence, and winning.
George St. Pierre.
Yeah, George St. Pierre winning. Habib. Yeah, like you don't have to trash talk your way to the top. You can. There's other ways to do it. But if you strip all of that away, and same with Colby Covington, what you have is a good fighter. So,
for sure.
An elite fighter.
There it is. So, it is what it is with that guy. But anyway.
Yeah, those are my two guys, Grant Dawson, Luis Pena. Both, I would say, future contenders. Future contenders, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Anything else we want to talk about? Anything else?
If we haven't talked about it, we should park it till next week.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I usually do a thing, but I don't know.
You don't want to do it?
Yeah, what is your thing? Or do we want to take turns?
Yeah, take turns. Anybody else got a thing that they want to do?
What's your thing in life? You will receive
No.
kicks to the legs.
Oh, I know what it is. It's in life. When stuff's going down for you, you're not having such a good time. You didn't get invited to the Nigerian cookout to have the superior jollof rice.
Hilarious.
Oh.
You still have three things going for you. Life, the pursuit of happiness,
Oh, my God.
and this podcast.
I did not. First off, that's
That's a direct quote. That's
not how it goes. But
Hilarious. I
it's
thought he was
very.
going to break into YMCA.
I'd like to YMCA. Oh, real funny because that's the international white people dance.
Yes.
So I'd just like to remind anyone listening to this that we're now available on YouTube and, as always, available on where any podcast can be found. So, podcast app.
That attaboy.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Available
Way to
on
plug it.
Apple. Yeah, we're available on YouTube now. People, subscribe to us. I'm going to address the camera directly. Subscribe to us on all platforms. Create multiple fake accounts in order to subscribe to us. I don't care what you've got to do. If you find this content valuable and informative and entertaining, then we're giving it to you for free. We're not charging you a thing. So subscribe, support your local mixed martial arts podcast, and we will continue to put out great content for you. Rain, shine, sleet, earthquake, coronavirus, it doesn't matter. We're here for you. So the least you could do is like, comment, subscribe, anywhere podcasts can be found, and YouTube as well now. This has been the Leg Kick Podcast.
Oh, I was gonna say something.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I
Go
think
ahead.
we got a new one. I was gonna say something really mean, but I'm
Say it.
No, like we're a Christian podcast. I can't say that. We'll talk. Man,
That was really good.
that wasn't actually bad. Attaboy. Way to plug the podcast. Oh, forgot to mention, if you want to sponsor a podcast, please message us directly via Twitter and Instagram Instagram at the Leg Kick, and we
Accepting
will.
all sponsorship.
Oh,
Yeah.
podcast question. Should we mention that now?
What?
If they have questions, we can answer them.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh, forgot to mention this. We're doing a fan mail thing. I shouldn't say thing, like it's a fan mail segment.
Jinx.
You owe me a soda.
I said jinx.
Who cares? You stole me the soda.
Fine.
So
I'm going to spit in it.
ew. Actually, Dave & Buster's, I can get you some for free.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll talk after
We'll talk.
the podcast.
We'll talk. But what we're gonna do is basically, if you message the Leg Kick podcast or any one of our personal personal Instagrams
On any of the social medias.
on any of the social
Or give them the email if they're more comfortable. I know there's a lot of boomers who listen to us.
Yeah. So the email is thelegkick@gmail.com that we're gonna put it towards. If you put it to the email, you put it to any one of our social media. So at Michael Asiffo, yours is
Wait, for my Instagram?
yeah.
At dog_of_war.
Yes.
Dog_of_war. So if you feel you want to contact me with questions for the podcast, you can message me there. Guys, if you want something technical broken down about mixed martial arts, if you have questions about other sports, Jeremy is a football expert. David has a wealth of knowledge about other sports as well that I don't personally have. We'll answer your technical questions. You need relationship advice. You need advice on what to wear to the prom.
Don't do
come
this.
to us. We'll answer your questions live on air. And if you ask us something silly, you better believe we're going to ridicule you.
Yeah, so you can answer you will get your answers here on our Ask Question segment. Whether it be you message the Leg Kick, the Leg Kick email, Leg Kick social media at the Leg Kick on Instagram, our personals, or that's basically it. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Jeremy.
Yes.
I forgot to shout this out, but a couple weeks ago it was his birthday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I just want to say that we brought these balls over here for you because it was your
Gracias.
birthday.
Chocolate balls in
Chocolate
celebration.
balls in celebration of your birthday.
Jeremy's chocolate balls getting 1 year older.
Yeah. So there you go.
Thank you.
Mike, weren't you going to sing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President"?
Oh
to
yeah.
him live on air.
Happy birthday.
Oh.
Okay, guys.
All right. This is dissolved. We're two and
Not add an extra 10 minutes. Do a happy
Okay.
birthday.
Don't worry. I got it. Happy birthday.
You sound nothing like. Stefano just fell.
Man,
You sound nothing like.
dude, I love how we're gonna put that on the podcast. This is gonna be wonderful. We have a YouTube channel now so this is gonna be good.
Yo, that was too much. That was too much.
That's way too much.
All right,
Good.
All right, later, everybody, later.
It dreads to